shout out to what's up, Big Teal, and of course Holly's, as always, are the number one moderator on Twitch, and Strin. Yeah,
Right, Holly?
Holly.
Sorry, Holly. I couldn't help it.
Yeah, Holly's apparently might be teaching. I shouldn't put Holly on the spot, but Holly was. It was suggested by one of our people that we work with. It was like, Holly, you should have like moderator university. Like Holly teaches you how to moderate, and then you can like just put that out there for you can have. We're gonna have. I was joking also with Big Teal. We're like, we can have like a, because Big Teal actually is a professor and is I forget what the exact. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the exact. It's like African. It's like non-white history, possibly of the Caribbean. Correct me if I'm wrong though. And I was like, we should just start. I'll start a Silver Spoon University, and I'd be like, you know what? You're gonna go $200,000 into debt for one of these colonizer BS, farms, that don't even teach you the correct history. What's that?
I should know better than to question Holly when Holly says something, because Holly's pretty fucking dead on. Um, but Darren, Holly wants to know if you have any socials that you would like to drop it into Discord, and Holly will get right on and pumping it out there for you.
Oh, I wish we had socials out here in Alberta. I miss socials so much. My last one was my brother's wedding, and I flew back to Winnipeg for that. And I miss socials. No one gets it out here. No one gets them.
I think she meant like Facebook.
Oh, socials.
Social media. Yeah.
Socials. Yeah, social media.
Sorry. I thought you meant socials like Manitoba socials.
Yeah, we ain't gonna find Manitoba style socials out here.
Oh, sorry. I totally thought that's what you were saying. Yeah,
Redneckville is fucked and is snobby as fuck. So
yeah, I'll drop my my Metaway socials on here as well.
yeah, so that way Holly can pump it out during here. So because apparently Big Teal has just become a new fan of yours, and it really wants to like follow you on your socials.
Oh, cool. It's at Metaway Games. But yeah, I'll post it on here, on Twitter and Facebook. I haven't switched over to new things yet, like Mastodon or these other ones. Now that everyone's fleeing Twitter.
Twitter hater.
Yeah, I actually really like Twitter, but I'm kind of weirded out with everything going on right now, and I'm like, I don't know if I could support this anymore. And now I'm looking at what other good avenues are there for game developers to connect. Yeah, it's crazy times.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I think we just got one addition here. What's up?
Oh,
Wasigan.
Hey, what's up, guys?
yo,
Can you hear me?
what up?
Hey, how's it going, Lasu? Doing well.
Good to hear from you again.
Yeah. I've been around. I've been surviving. Keeping it real in Winnipeg.
Oh,
right.
Well,
holding it down in fucking fucked up Winnipeg, where cops are the number one gang.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's been an interesting few years. What I mean, like, it's always interesting here, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So how are you guys? Sorry, I interrupted. I was a little bit late. I kind of had to figure out this whole audio thing for a second.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah.
All good.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Sweet. So sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted. Continue. I will just.
No worries. I was about to go off on a rant on Twitter, but don't even worry about me. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
I'm my rant.
The worst rant I've seen so far on Twitter is that fucking people who are trying to do the pretend Indian thing, and they're like white supremacist supporters, and it's like, yeah, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also am on Twitter, and it's a shit show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like everything about it. Like, I mean, I don't know. Today, the thing that really got me was like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys know too much about the convoy and kind of like all of the insane stuff that's happened since then. But there's like two figures, like that like lady with the red glasses. And
She's
like
trying
Eric,
to claim they're Métis.
no. Is she? I don't know. I hope not. I don't think that's.
the one that's in court right now, she's claiming to be Métis.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
ETN validated that she was. I don't want to perpetuate misinformation there, but yeah, I was just watching
oh
APTN.
wow.
I think they said that they confirmed it.
Oh wow. Interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
it's one of those situations. Plus, the guy that sat there and had the pipe ceremony right there in front of the
Oh yeah, that was
that.
uh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the
Yeah.
sad part is, like, they pick Métis. Like, Métis don't already have enough issues going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard enough that Métis in Canada now have the same status as status natives, and that whole entire process there going on with that, with the status natives going, hey, like, okay, cool, you got all of this, but don't be shoving that in our face. Like,
Mhm.
haha,
Yeah.
look what I got now, right? So there's that whole entire already beef going on, and these clowns add extra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really
I
fucked
don't even
up.
know. Like, I know that the courts ruled that it was equivalent to or something like that, and but I don't even know what it means, to be quite
The
honest. Like, I
means basically it means, like, the Supreme Court of Canada had decided and made a
yep.
ruling that Métis, non-status, and Inuit all have the same status as a status native, meaning you have hunting, fishing rights, Jay Treaty, all that other stuff.
But I
Everything,
didn't.
education, medical, all of that is all
Yeah,
equivalent to a
Interesting.
status native.
I didn't even know. Like, so I knew that they made the ruling that it was equivalent, but I didn't think that we could do anything with it. Like,
No,
I thought,
it's literally, it's the
oh,
same thing. You have the same status as a status native in every single aspect, in all of its dysfunctionalness, um, embezzlement, and everything else. Welcome to the tribe.
yeah. Well, I know that like the one thing I'm keeping up with right now here in
It
Alberta,
is too.
our new Métis Nation of Alberta is doing their vote for their new
Mhm.
constitution. So
Yeah,
that's the big thing going on out here.
yeah,
That's pretty
because
cool.
they have to have a constitution in order
Hmm.
for it to please the government's fucking bullshit.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, Big Teal, it is short of land back, yes.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's like,
status
here
can't be
we're
land back.
gonna, yeah, yeah, here. We're gonna give you this little trinket that y'all should have had anyways. But now go away with your land back, okay? Shush, just quiet down.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yes, Holly, it still is 100% blood quantum, because now it's making Métis fight amongst themselves as well.
Yes. Yes. Like out in Winnipeg here, there's obviously like the MMF is like it is like based here. So that's
Yeah, I wouldn't
yeah,
call
yeah.
it based, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean like Chartrand thinks that like it's the
Yeah.
core, right? Like
I was just
so
gonna ask,
There,
are the Chartrands the ruling family still of MMF?
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
that
yeah,
hasn't
yeah.
Yeah.
that
His
hasn't
Royal
changed in 20
Majesty
years.
hasn't changed.
No.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're making moves and stuff like that and like positive ones in some aspects in the city and stuff. So, you know, like
by the
I'm not
way,
Métis, so it doesn't
how's the
I
way?
can't really
Any
say too
word?
much.
How's the word on that grassroots Métis organization in Winnipeg that said "fuck you" to David Sartran and
Uh,
started
I'm
her own?
I'm not sure. There's like a lot of stuff going on in
Yeah, because
Winnipeg most of the time.
I know the
Yeah.
Canadian government was trying to force the Métis to kick out anyone who's not Korean French out of
Hmm.
their ranks.
Interesting.
Yeah, meanwhile,
That's
there's like
interesting.
Ojibwe, Dakota, there's like all
Yeah.
different kinds of groups, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
so
know MMF is fighting right now with the Ontario Métis group, saying that they're letting too many people in and they don't want to recognize the Ontario piece, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the Ontario piece is like, well, no, we have Scottish, Irish, French, And then we have Cree, Ojibwe, and Mohawk and other ones in that area, right? And it's like David's always been, I've known David since I was like in my early 20s. Um, David's always been one of those ones that's kind of, you kind of go back and go, dude, why are you perpetuating the same fucking shit?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like,
That's how I feel about most of like the discourse. It's just like, how
yeah,
about, we all just call for land back
right?
together, right?
Like, I had a friend of mine that passed away in my early 20s who was both black and native, and he couldn't get his Métis card because he was black.
That's fucked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty fucked up.
That is. I thought the thing
Yeah.
that they were just really picky about was having like some level of French, some level of Indigenous, and being from the Red River Valley. I thought that was their big thing about it was
That's
the Red
supposed to be
River
the
Valley.
Métis. That's supposed to be the Métis, whereas the Métis were like, because in that time frame that you're looking at, when Métis first came into existence on this side of the continent and basically in the world, it was Scottish, Irish, and French
Mm-hmm.
were the main three mixers of the group. So for them to try and say, well, you have to be French and Cree is a crock of shit.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
agreed.
mean?
Agreed.
It,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like, no, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And who's
Well,
to say, oh,
I'm
sorry, go
reading
ahead.
that the book that was recently written, what is it called? The Northwest Was Our Home, which is essentially like a historical telling of the Métis story from like the Métis rather than like the Canadian side, which is like obviously doesn't give them any, you know, any recognition of anything really. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting, and yeah, you got that spot on, Sue. That's exactly kind of what it is. And like even in that book, they kind of like say that like the Métis, I guess, like they would rather it come from certain families. So like you were saying, like the Red River families that like,
Mm-hmm.
the big families that they consider like the Métis like core family groups, I guess, which is like, a whole nother blood quantum like factor that's just so annoying.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Yeah.
It's really fucked up because it leaves so many people out
Mm-hmm.
of everything, right?
Yeah.
So Métis was supposed to be the difference between the mixing of indigenous blood and other blood,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the original form of what the Métis started off at,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So
And like
nowadays it's like, sorry,
one
go ahead.
thing, sorry, Sue.
No,
One thing that
good.
uh that separated sort of like Métis people because they lived in this area for around 200 years before like, it was like that mixing, but also recognition of the land. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the
Yeah,
overarching thing that they're more like, let's just say this, but like more like indigenous people than like settlers. Like they were essentially kind of like settlers that gave up the like colonial sort of like s- you know
Yep.
thing, and they were like living out here. Most of them were fur traders and all that, but then they would like actually just stayed, and like you see pictures from like the same time frame of like a Métis settlement and like a Cree settlement, and it's exactly the
yeah.
same. There might be like one more cart or something, but
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So like
It's
that's
like
way,
Well,
yeah.
and
I've
you even think
it,
about the Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, all the provinces west of Ontario. If
mm,
it wasn't for Louis Riel standing up and saying, "We want representation out here. We want our voice heard against
yeah,
the Canadian government," provinces west of Ontario wouldn't exist without him rising up and saying
yep.
that people need
oh yeah,
representation out here, right?
yep,
Hmm.
absolutely, yep.
And
And you
like,
like
let's not
create
forget,
literally,
like, sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
yeah. Oh, he literally created like a dual power structure and forced it. Like he's like such
Yeah.
a, yeah. Sorry, big fan of
Yeah,
Louis.
it's like,
Yeah, and
it's like, it totally leaves out all the ones that are like right on the East Coast from Ontario East, where Europeans first came. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it completely like, even right now, like the ones in like Nova Scotia and all of that are having a hard time because apparently there's no Métis there. And it's like, well, wait, isn't that the first meeting of the two cultures and two
Yeah.
groups of people? Like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I've been reading up a lot on that, on how the Western provinces or the Western Métis groups are saying Nova Scotia, that area, those aren't real Métis. I'm using air quotes.
Yeah.
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 It's baffling to me how you can say somebody is and isn't Métis, that it genuinely can prove that they have mixed blood. It just I get that some people want to classify it as the French piece and like and have it there with the embracing the French roots, but really it just muddies the water, and it just makes it so that there's people out there that want to be represented as Métis, that have mixed blood, and they say that we're Indigenous and we're here and we're together and we want to support this. I don't know why we need to ostracize people and say you're not part
Yeah.
of this club, right? Like
Yeah.
it just makes sense why
Well,
we want.
you know what it is, right? It's the Canadian government, same as the United States government. Okay? Segregate, separate, keep them all fighting amongst who's who,
Mm-hmm.
and there we go. We don't have to deal with them. As long as they're separated and fighting, we don't have to deal with any of it.
So much truth to that. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Because, like, even historically, like after the rebellion, the Métis, like the families and stuff like that, like did go to the East Coast and like that part of like the United States and down in Montana, like they moved around everywhere. So it's just so ahistorical to really like say something like that, you know?
And the sad part is they still act like we didn't have any fucking extensive trade routes on this continent before Europeans showed up.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's so true.
And
Mhm.
it's like, wait a minute. We're not like the royal family, you know, that's like blue bloods, has to marry their first cousin or brother or sister in order to perpetuate the blue bloodness of their bloodline. We intermarried with each other. Hello? We didn't believe in, you know, trying to make sure that we have, you know, that kind of eugenics program kind of thing where we'd have, you know, that kind of shit. We weren't interested in that. So claiming that we're unintelligent comparatively to Europeans when they have that fucking shit there right there is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
We at least knew not to fuck our first and second and third cousins, okay?
Yes.
Nah. Actually, just on the topic of the the who, it's kind of like creating a pecking order, dividing and conquering all of the peoples they're trying to colonize. I mean, as because I think if I'm not mistaken, the so-called Canada is the one that's currently oppressing the other three. But in the U.S. illegal occupation of Hawaii, just specifically on that topic, I was talking to Wasigan like I think several months ago about the similarities between some of the original Hawaiian leadership pre illegal U.S. military occupation and genocide. But before that, actually, Hawaii, and I often talk about the Hui system, and which is a system of mutual aid worker cooperatives. It's a very complex word that's in it's Asian, it's Chinese, Vietnamese, Maori, Hawaiian, and it's not exactly the same, but it means a very similar thing, working together. And then before the U.S. occupation, when Hawaii was an independent, neutral country, we actually, there were Chinese, there were Vietnamese, there were Japanese, there were Hawaiian, there were full African citizens when the United States had slavery. Canada still treats non-white, obviously to this day. We're just talking about there's anti-blackness even in like the blood quantum stuff for indigenous people to this day. But Hawaii had full citizenship for everyone, and everyone was allowed to work in these cooperatives. There was universal health care a century before anyone tried it in the Western world. The world's first at Queens Medical Center. There was national the nationalization of the resources, like energy, transportation. The world's first like very high quality mass transit system was in Hawaii. housing. There was basically zero homelessness, near zero homelessness. So state owned, for the benefit of the masses, enterprises, and then small, like not, like you could be Hawaiian, you could be Chinese, and a lot of the families, like there's names like Akana and Akao. These are some of my cousins, right? That's actually a Hawaiianization of a Hawaiian spelling of a Chinese name, and the people they basically were allowed to exist, as keep their parts of the Chinese culture they wanted. We do lion dance in the Chinatown where I'm from, in Kali of the island of Oahu, but after the U.S. occupation, just to kind of like drive that point home, because there was this very successful system in Hawaii. It was the world's highest literacy rate, 98%. It put all the European countries to shame in the 1850s. After the U.S. occupation, there was a subsequent, the so-called Great Dole Pineapples. I have a Hawaiian pizza thread that I share around. The pineapple and the Hawaiian pizza, these are not Hawaiian actually. And after the U.S.
Right.
Yeah, after the Dole pineapple, who collaborated, he was a white capitalist in Hawaii, and he had a cousin in the United States who collaborated with the U.S. military to overthrow our sovereign, basically socialist, anti-racist government, and then they actually installed a oligarchy dedicated to plunder, an ethno-class system, because there was class and there was developing class, Hawaiian and anti-racist consciousness, because they knew that you can't really, if different ethnic groups are working against each other, the Hawaiians and a lot of other people in the world knew that was a weapon that was used by feudalists, colonizers, capitalists, all of these systems, right? And they said we can't allow that. And so after the occupation, the U.S. Republic of Hawaii actually went to great lengths to install Anglo-American values, and they pushed racism into Filipino groups. Like, my family, my aunt will still say things like, "You can't trust the Hawaiians. They're just big brutes." I'm like, "Auntie, like you're like part Hawaiian. Why are you saying that?" But her family was more Japanese under the enforced. This is a very important point where they had to push the racism into Hawaii because there was such a strong lack of it, and then the pushing that racism in helped them to. The wages went to basically starvation wages. Basically, you got a bowl of rice per day. The Marcos regime the horrible fascist regimes, that the United Fruit Company that did horrible things in South America, they were the same kind of people that showed up and pushed this racist divide and conquer system into Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And so my family, there's this weird racism to the Hawaiian parts of my family. They're they're kind of what they don't even, a lot of them don't even know that they're Hawaiian. They don't know what happened, but suspicious of these groups for weird reasons. And even within their own family, because I have Hawaiian, I have Asian, I have Japanese, I have Chinese, Hawaiian, all mixed, right? But they're all at each other's throats. And then the U.S. empire just shows up and is using us as a freaking military base to blow everyone else up. It's so anyway, I just want to say that that's not just in the issues that you're talking about with the Métis and the blood quantum systems in Canada. This is universal around the world, and sometimes at different times, different peoples have done better against them, but other times, right now, it's it's been a little bit rough for a while.
Yeah, even if we look in our New Zealand and Australian and Pacific Island relatives, right? Fiji and all of that, it's all the same thing going on over there as it is here. Not much is difference. There's no difference really.
Yeah, well, just the colonial playbook, right?
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. On a massive scale, India is probably the best example, where they created those ethno states and stuff, and literally, set up everything that's ensued since then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I even look at my wife, born raised Calgarian, but her mom and dad are from the Philippines. And you want to talk about a country that's been constantly overrun by colonialism. You had Spanish, the Portuguese, and then just as they were trying to get out of it, they had the Americans come in and take them over as well. And their last names, my wife and I were talking about this, and her last name is a Spanish. It can be translated in Spanish, and you think something is a last name that you're used to as something as part of your culture, and then you look at it, and it's actually one of the colonizer names that were instilled in you, and it just became the norm. Even the name Philippines as a country name is was from the Spanish. I think it was Felipe, the King Felipe, and then they just
Yeah.
continued the name, right? Like
Oh wow.
they're just it's just crazy how it can still have those lasting effects, just even in what you think is part of your culture. It's just been ingrained in the colonialism that has come through.
Yeah, 100%. Also, welcome to our newest member. What's up, Sade, or
Hey.
what's up? You can turn your video if you don't want to. You don't have to, but if you want, you can turn your video on. Just to let you know.
Oh, all right.
You might want to fix your names there, Silver Spook.
Yep. I gotta play Tetris with my names again. Let's do this.
Yeah. How you doing? How you doing, Shade?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody else doing? I don't think I've actually got to talk to all of y'all in real life before.
No,
Now you do.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
just
Yeah.
our game dev community. That's about it.
Right?
Yeah.
Let me I gotta turn a light on here so I can actually my camera's all super dark.
It's the same thing when we look at like United States and Canada and North America, right? It's called Turtle Island, and that's its actual name,
Yep.
but they changed it to fit European mindset of it. And it's like, you got to be fucking kidding me, right?
Let's take
You're
that back.
joking.
Let's do that first. Let's rename North America. I don't even like the name North America. Let's start
Right?
taking that back and call it Turtle Island again.
Right?
Agreed.
I try to use
It's
Turtle Island.
supposed to be that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like, you don't go to some other country and go, oh, hey, look, I'm going to rename this country because I think so. Like, that's some pretty fucked up shit.
Yeah.
But I
think
mean, that's
the
that
the
whole.
biggest example of that is like, Germany. Like,
Mm,
like it's not called Germany. Like they don't call it Germany themselves, right? And like
no.
the French call it something else. They don't call it anything close to Germany. Like it's like Allemagne, and like it's just like what? Like who gives you the authority to just like rename it and then like tell everyone else that that's the name, not their own, not what they're saying about themselves. It's like outrageous.
Well, you even look at like the continents and how they're named. North America, South America. That came from Europeans, right? Like, so why aren't the North American groups, Turtle Island groups, coming together and saying let's take back at least the naming of our continent, and then South American nations, where you have indigenous groups there coming in saying, hey, let's come together and call our continent what it should be called, or at least call it something that is belongs to the indigenous people, to the land. Like, just it again, we've been given a name that has been not given, have been imposed a name upon us that we should start by taking at least that back. I don't even know how.
Well,
It's easier said than done, but
we are working on that. Like a lot of us are trying to do that. Especially when we're like talking about this area. So like when you hear me introduce myself, I say that I'm from the northern Dakota lands on Turtle Island,
mm-hmm,
now called Canada,
mm-hmm.
or nowadays,
Mm.
so that people are, oh, okay, right?
Yeah.
It's all a process. And what you're going to run into is usually a bunch of Europeans who live in so-called Canada and United States acting like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And that's usually what we come across.
Mm-hmm.
Is usually that.
The sentiment being like, we conquered, and then like they'll tell it to your face. I'm sure everyone here has
Yeah.
probably heard that, and you're like, but you didn't. There's like a treaty between international like nations
Oh my
here,
God.
and they're like, oh, that doesn't matter, and you're like, but it's in you, like literally like sits beside your constitution, because we're two different, like, yeah, I may have like a Canadian birth certificate, and I may have, like ID cards that says like I'm like a citizen of Manitoba or whatever.
Yeah.
But I also have this other third one that y'all don't have that like precedes everything that like those two cards say, right? And it's like one hard thing to like get into the heads of Canadians, because they've been like telling themselves misinformation for whatever, how many generations, is that
Right?
like we're not the same, and you have to get over that. Like we
Mm.
are two different people on this land, and we have two different like relationships to the government. You know, like, if that, you know, like that's I think, like, I've been trying to tell people that, and that kind of like helps it click. It's like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is, you're not Canadian, so like, and like I always emphasize it, so like it makes sense once you listen to politicians and they're talking about Native issues. They always say all Canadians, but they're not, like, in what they mean is everyone but Indigenous people. You know, when
Exactly.
they're talking about it. So they're always talking about the benefits for all Canadians, and it's usually in juxtaposition to like Indigenous issues where they're talking, you know, about, oh, this is good for all Canadians and all Canadians' progress in relation to resource management and stuff like that. And
But it
that to
never
me,
but it never makes its way either to any of us indigenous
yeah,
people, whether Métis, non-status, status,
yeah, yeah, because
Inuit, it
they
doesn't matter.
So
they're telling them the truth in you know, the words of the colonizers, right? That like
Mhm.
we're talking about you, not the native people, and you know,
Mhm.
insinuating maybe so that it'll trick a few of you, thinking that maybe we're talking about all of the indigenous, everyone in Canada. But you know, it also excludes like refugees and people on
Mhm.
PR and all of this other stuff. Um, but
I
anyway,
actually
that's
have a very interesting perspective on this, a personal one. You guys are going to get a kick out of this.
okay.
Just thinking about, you know, being born in different countries, being citizens of different nations. So I am Ganyakahaga.
Mm,
I was born on a piece of land that was actually taken back from the state of New York in the 1970s. There's a community called Ganyange in upstate New York, in the traditional homelands of our people. Um, Having been born there, I am born in the Longhouse Society,
Mm.
not as a member of the United States government or the Canadian government. I have no federal papers from either of those entities. I only have a birth certificate from my nation. That is the only paperwork I have.
See,
Luckily
we
for
all need to get back to that.
so
interesting. Very cool. Yeah.
for the most part, it's you know, I technically don't have a relationship outside of you know, paying taxes and other stuff that has to do with living in the United States. And most places, the state I live in, accept my birth certificate. Um, but traveling internationally has been an issue
Mm.
because not everywhere takes uh, my nation's passports,
Mm.
as we've most famously seen during like lacrosse World Cup
Mm.
tournaments. Um, so yeah, it's a very interesting situation for me personally, because as technically a member of a different nation, I don't qualify for a lot of the native federal programs, so grants, any kind of
Mhm.
like money. I don't have access to services in the United States or Canada.
Right.
So, but I exist as a, you know, sovereign personal entity, you know, within my own nation state, which
Interesting.
has been
See,
very
but
cool and very weird at the same time.
Yeah.
that has to do
Absolutely.
with that has to do with the fucked up shit from the UN,
Mm-hmm.
where they told us in order to have a seat at the UN as indigenous nations, we have to have a flag.
Mm-hmm.
We brought them a flag. They came up with some other new fucking shit
Yep.
that we had to jump through the hoops to try and get to have a seat in recognition as an actual entity. Even though our treaty state we are actual sovereign nations.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I fight with that all the time. It's like treaties are made between two sovereign nations,
Mm-hmm.
not a conquering one.
That's right.
It supersedes the Constitution. So every time, like right
Yep.
now, we're seeing with the ICWA fight in the Supreme Court, tribal law supersedes constitutional law. So that if we actually had like justices that weren't just in the pockets of corporations and evangelical douchebags, um,
Mhm.
religious fanatic zealots.
Absolutely.
If we didn't have to deal with that, this case would be thrown out on its face because, like we said, tribal law is government to government law, which supersedes the Constitution. They have no right to steal our children under the treaties. But as we've seen in the United States, particularly, and in Canada as well, that they take a very different view of what they're allowed to do, a very paternalistic view. And as we all know, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just a continuation of genocide, but in the courts.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
absolutely.
Like even the Supreme Court of Canada told Child and Family Services to stop taking Native children, being that 98% of the reason why children end up in foster care system due to poverty. And that poverty is forced upon us by either Canadian or US government. It's imposed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not by being lazy and we don't work or we just want to sit around and get drunk and high and fuck all the time. As great as that might sound.
I was gonna say, that sounds pretty good, but no, that has not.
Yeah. But literally, that's what it is though, right? It's literally that.
Yeah.
It's like they have this fucking bullshit concept mind construct of who we are when they have no idea who the fuck we are. Still, after 500 fucking plus years, they have no idea who the fuck we are.
And they don't even want to understand either. They don't want to take the time to even understand and listen and sit down and have the discussions. They don't. They just want to play the PR game and look like they're doing something and trying to help out because they'll either get them more votes or win them sympathy, whatever garbage they're doing. And no one's just taking the time to stop and listen.
Yeah. Oh, I've sat there and I've had to deal with fucking. So where I live right now, because I live in the city, unfortunately, in the apartment building, they started a tenant landlord board. And one of the first things that popped up as soon as the lady from the city that was there to also watch over and everything pop up and state was land recognition and stuff, right? And all of a sudden, a couple of white people started bitching and complaining about, oh, these natives are going to have free rent. How come they get free rent? And I'm like, do you not think that we're not going to make sure that you have free rent too? You dumbass motherfucker. Like, if you're poor or disabled or elderly, do you not think that we're not going to fight for you to have that fucking free rent too? Well, y'all are just gonna do all. And it's like, oh,
well,
I had to get up and
the mentality. They don't have the mentality of it's for everyone, right?
Yeah.
They think, oh, you're just going to do this on your own. You're going to get these special privileges, and that's not the case. The mentality is it's for everyone to enjoy. Whether we talk about resourcing and land preservation and the environment, it's not so we can have a piece of land and protect it and make sure it's green and there's no pollution. This is for everyone. This is like it's a mentality that unfortunately we're seeing it a lot more on social media. We're seeing it a lot more across Turtle Island in Canada, the United States, where it's becoming more individualistic and people are thinking about what's in it for me. And unless I see a benefit or unless I'm impacted, I'm not going to change my ways. You see it with the right-wing conservatives and Republicans in the U.S. where they're anti-LGBTQ2 plus until they have a son or daughter, or they're anti-abortion until they need it for their daughter. And then all of a sudden they're willing to go through and do it. And it's very much that individualistic mentality until it benefits them. And that's a whole mindset that needs to change everywhere. And our ancestors had it right. It's for everyone. And it's not just about me today. It's about 7 generations. It's about my great 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 grandchildren, how they're gonna have the land and how they're gonna persevere through all of this.
Mm.
It's fundamental flaw in people's thinking today.
It's
See a
like
lot.
you said, I'll say it really is a that sort of where we come from culturally versus where colonizers come from culturally. It is very much a me first in that society.
Mm.
The fact
Yeah.
that we do share with our community, even if we don't have much, like that's ingrained in most of us, damn near all of us. And
Yeah.
I could be broke as hell, but you know what? If I got some cans of beanie weenies in the fridge, we're all gonna eat. You know,
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
so
Yeah, I don't have
I think
gloves right now because I gave some of my gloves on the street, and I was like, I could buy some. I can buy some gloves, but this
Yeah.
person's hands are freezing. So here you go, friend. You know,
Meanwhile, the Swedish are starving their neighbors. I just had to throw that out there.
right? Yeah.
Fuck you, starve.
I'll say, ironically, I just found out I got some Swedish in my ancestry.
Oh no.
Oh.
But like all the way
Can you
back to
prove it?
like
Can you
17.
prove it?
Yes, in the
So the new statement now is that
Sometimes
we're all part white. We just can't prove it yet.
all right.
In order to get our white card.
So
Um,
mine's documented all the way back to 1752. It's like one dude. I got one one white guy. It's like my 1%
Yeah.
Where's my white privilege?
Honestly, though.
Oh, there's a shirt. Where's my white privilege? But just make it native as hell. You know?
Yeah, 1% white.
That's-
Like, where's
I
the
got-
privilege? You know.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
My white blood quantum.
I always find it hilarious, right? Because there's only like what 5 things on this planet that go by blood quantum: dogs, horses, right? Or no, wait, 4. Sorry, us natives and black people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the only 4 things on this planet that go by blood quantum.
It's like the old comedian Charlie Hill had that joke about having to carry a pedigree card. I think it was Charlie Hill.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like it's like, why do we got to be pedigreed? It's just because they're just like, oh well, if you got your paperwork, we can prove that we owe you money, and then they don't pay it anyway.
Well,
That's
see,
right.
it also just goes to show if you look at half of that group, they're animals, right? And it just goes
Yeah.
to show how they looked at us and
Yeah.
black people, right? Is they looked at us like animals to that level,
Yeah.
and it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
one thing about like the society and just like the failings of like colonial and settler societies, let's just call it European, but the notion of individuality like totally comes from their religion. You know what I mean? It's Christianity is, and like like I grew up in the church. You know what I mean? All that bullshit. I've since rejected it and all that because it's. I rejected it the one day that like the pastor was saying that they shouldn't have to pay Indigenous people because they were doing us a favor. That literally came out of this man's mouth during the sermon, and like I was like, okay, I'm not going back, Mom. Like I'm not going back to church. Like this. I'm done
Yeah,
with this.
Mom. You
You
can
know,
enjoy
like-
that bullshit. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stick over here in the truth, okay?
Yeah. It's like, you can go, whatever, pretend with like for our family's sake or whatever, but I'm not into it. But yeah, like the religion is incredibly selfish. It's about like one person, one soul, your actions. You know what I mean? And like I rail against this all the time, but they like European and like it's also ingrained in their secular. You know what I mean? Like their secular mindsets too. They don't understand that it is through like Protestant ethic and all of these other like notions that came from the church.
That's the
but
whole
it's
point,
all
though.
like
It's not
God,
just the
yeah.
church. It's not just the church. The government and all other entities in capitalism and colonialism have been pushing that it's I, me, not us,
Yeah.
us, and we. They've
Yeah.
been pushing that. They've been making it and doing up all this fucking blowing up of all these different stats and shit so that everyone's afraid of each other. So it's all about me and my little world. because the bigger world is, just too scary.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's completely separate and different and completely opposite of us and our indigenous way of life. Like, I don't even give a shit if like, we have enough shit on our plate to deal with like residential school and boarding school and all the effects of that on our reservations and in our communities. We have a shit ton of that shit, right? We got alcoholism, we got drug addiction, we got violence, we got sexual abuse, we got all kinds of shit that we got to deal with and clean up in a healthy way within our cultural way of doing things, right? Healing and restorative justice. That's our way, not European way of penalization. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so hard to listen to like British like politicians or like pundits because like they still have that mindset. What comes out is like, oh, we need to be harsher on these people. And like it's really hard to believe people that still say that today and then within the same breath be like, oh well, we're over colonization and like we've progressed. It's like, no, not at all. Like
Not
literally
even.
zero progress. There's only like maybe more technology. That's about it. Like
Well, it's easy to say you're hard on criminals when you have privilege, right?
Yeah.
Where you could do something and you'll get hit with a fine, or you can afford a lawyer to get your way out of it. But if you're put in a position where you're marginalized, the cops are going to come at you harder, the judge is going to come at you harder, sentencing is going to come at you harder. So when you have privilege, it makes it easier to say punish those people, punish those criminals.
See, now Norway took an example of our indigenous way of life, and they have a restorative justice program rather than penal. They literally copied our indigenous way of life of restorative justice and healing, and they have a restorative justice program. They don't have a penal system anymore. People aren't penalized. They're literally, and their recidivism rate for crimes is so low, it's not even funny.
Yeah. No, it's outrageous, the criminal justice system here. And it's so blatant, the double standard in policing and like even in the courts and stuff like that. Like I don't really it's a tough one. I'm gonna bring something up that recently happened in Canada that's like really, really horrific. But the one Somali lady that was like stabbed to death in this one bar fight, and this white lady like stabbed her in the neck with this like broken piece of glass, and like she bled out everywhere and died like almost instantly, and she got a manslaughter charge. They didn't even consider giving her any kind of like second-degree murder or anything like that. It was
or a hate crime.
Yeah, or anything like that. Yeah. When she like, and they just don't investigate. Like they're just like, oh, we can't let these white kids go to jail. That's literally I think what it is. Like I'm sorry if it's crass, but like
it is.
No, you see it all the time.
It's how it's always been.
Can't go to jail and they get the benefit of the doubt all the time.
Yeah.
Fuck if. Yeah, I would wish Indigenous kids and like especially Indigenous males, that we had the benefit of the doubt ever in our lives. It's always
every single one of us here in the voice chat. If we steal food, even the simplest little fucking item of food, the cheapest item of food you can find in a grocery store, we're all looking at least a minimum of 5 years.
Yeah.
Sitting behind bars, at least bare minimum. For like $1 or 99-cent item from a fucking grocery store.
You guys remember that story that was a couple years ago about that frat douche who got caught sexually assaulting a woman behind a dumpster? Yeah. And then so white frat douche, his judge essentially slapped him on the wrist and then let him go with like probation and some time served. Because, he was just a good white boy and we don't want to ruin his life because he made a bad decision. It's like, dude, if that were anyone else, they'd be gone
Shit.
forever.
Yeah.
We like up here in Canada, we have an outrageous number of cops, judges, child care workers, and those that work in the foster care system who massive and priests that massively rape children daily in the hundreds. And not one of them will ever see a day in court.
Yeah.
Not one of them will ever see a day behind bars. If we and it's saddening because what they do is this. So if you're an indigenous person and you're really popular and charismatic and is a leader in any way, shape, or form of your people and your community, they're gonna ding you with whatever the fuck they can, even if it's not true and you didn't do it, to get rid of you.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
No,
what
totally.
really scares me of out of the U.S. and it scares me that it would come up to Canada is we're talking about the penal system, and now you start putting capitalism on there on top of that, where you have these for-profit prisons, and it's now
Yeah.
they can't have empty cells, so
Nope.
they pay off the judges and the police to make sure that those jails are full all the time,
Yeah.
and that way they have to build more, and then they just keep meeting that quota to put more and more people in jail. And unfortunately, it's marginalized people as well, right? But it just privatized for-profit prisons and justice system just makes this all the more worse.
Yeah. And I can safely say every single one of us here on this here in this stream right now, on screen in this chat, literally knows at least a dozen, if not more, people that we've lost to the movement because either Canadian or US government and law enforcement agencies went out of their way to do everything to destroy them, get rid of them, murder them, or make it so that they disappear or they're untrustworthy to the rest of us population of our own people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I live in, yeah, absolutely. Like I like Wab Canoe's my MLA, and like
Mm.
you know that's basically like they're always trying to get that guy on something, like some sort of trick to, and like we all have our own thoughts on the man. I imagine. He's my MLA, and he listened to me once. I told him to put like some more lights in the neighborhood, and he did, but they were way too bright, so we had to like it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, like when he got into politics, like they were bringing back up things that were like 25 years ago, when he was like a teenager and stuff, just to perpetuate
Throw
that
mud at 'em.
stereotype of him, yeah, being like some sort of violent indigenous male, and it's like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
so annoying. Like
Yep.
it's just so played out,
There,
and ugh,
like, I don't know how many good brothers and sisters that I've lost and that have been lost in the movement, whether it's been they were murdered and missing, or what they call sentenced to obscurity is basically the correct terminology for it, where all of a sudden now they're no longer trustable around the people because they want to get rid of these people that are leaders, good leaders, solid traditional leaders, or spiritual leaders, or as some would call it, our prophets.
yeah.
And they go out of their way to destroy their every existence in life to get rid of them.
They can't allow any threats to the system to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just on the just on the topic, because even outside of the U.S. and Canada, U.S., Canada, the settler colonial projects, you're basically, you are the enemy if you are indigenous. Also, if you're black, and in Hawaii, something that people might not know, because this is one of the it's like it's it's like I call it, sometimes I call Hawaii like hyper America. It's like literally the most American place in the so-called U.S. and it's not even an American state, even though people think that it is. And I spend all day long being like screaming at all of Twitter and all of Twitch and everything that the truth, try my best, but it's like something that people don't actually know. Speaking of prison time, right? Be like, oh, you're just so happy in Hawaii. You have all these tropical weather and it's beautiful, and you're gonna have mai tais, and you have like beautiful white sand beaches, and it's like, I mean, the weather's nice and that's great, and like obviously those things are good, but how can you enjoy the weather, right, when you are like literally the most incarcerated people in the entire, like, per capita in the United States? Like, it's the statistics like is actually like out of every it's like out of 100,000 people, it's like 412 per capita are white incarcerated. Black is like 2.5 times in the United States, so it's like 1,032 people. Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander is 1,600. So we're literally like the most incarcerated demographic. You would, I mean, if you ask the average American, they don't have any clue. They probably say racism's over, right? We don't have any problem with this, right? If they maybe, if you had like a progressive or somebody who's been around some black, a community, they might know that, oh, there's more incarceration of, non-white peoples. But almost nobody knows that actually like the highest rate is Pacific Islander. And I think one of the reasons why, and Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islander, but one of the reasons why is because like if like like you're saying, like it's kind of like the settler colonial project for plunder for the richest of the elites, and then setting everyone else, all the white people, against the black and against the LGBTQ plus, against Indigenous, and then what everybody's fighting at each other's throats. Everyone is being mass impoverished for the benefit of the capitalist, the colonizer, the master of the slaves, the imperialist in in an international sense, etc. In Hawaii, this is actually the thinnest. It's the thinnest story because number one, it's the last. Hawaii only became a state in 1959. Number one, the United Nations. I mean, there's a long story, but real quick, like the United Nations actually has officially, the Human Rights High Commissioner of Human Rights said, Hawaii is not a state. It's an illegal U.S. military occupation. It's a fraudulent annexation, which is interesting because there's another country the United States is very upset about for annexing somewhere else. But I like to bring up this point, and I get a lot of attack from white liberals. They're like, Silver Spook, you're a genocide denier. And I said, actually, there's this place that you really hate, and you're saying that they stole this part of this, let's just say it's some European country, and because they did a referendum for an annexation, and 95 to 99% said we want to join this other entity. Anyways, long story short, the United States never gave Hawaii in the 1890s any option. There's no referenda for the annexation. The annexation papers under the United States federal government were never ratified by the Congress. The whole thing was basically fabricated. The Hawaiians did our own. They're called the Ku'e petitions, right? They were Hawaiians ourselves, right? Went through. Again, I was talking about earlier, we had the very advanced, basically on the path of, it's similar to Cuba in a lot of ways, similar to a lot of very advanced countries today against the capitalist structure. Hawaii was like, why would we want to join your racist, capitalist, horrible nightmare country called the United States when we have our successful, country where everybody is housed, everybody's fed, everyone has universal health care. Why would we want to join you? 95%. We did our own survey. It was called the Kuwait Petitions. 95% of Hawaiians said we don't want to join. Hawaiians, Asians, Pacific Islanders, the African people that were all here, they said we don't want to join the United States. Like landslide. The United States put all the guns. The U.S. military brought the USS Boston, aimed it at the Capitol, and said, "You're going to join the United States," collaborating with the far right in Hawaii. Mr. Dole was one of the right-wing capitalists in Hawaii. U.S. back coup anywhere in the world for the last century, right? This is a story that's so old. If you know anything about global history, this story is like hundreds of times the U.S. has done it. But the U.S. did it first in Hawaii, and it's always been very thin because 60% of Hawaii is not white. It's the least white state, It's like the least white state. It has the least justification. Like, again, 50 to 60% of Hawaii is actually Asian, Pacific Islander, more than one. They don't identify as white. In the 1950s, the United States actually brought the U.S. military in, and they brought white settlers in and the U.S. military, and they basically had the U.S. military soldiers get off of their battleships and go vote to vote to make Hawaii a state under the United States. So it's a completely fraudulent vote there. Also, the United States didn't have an option for independence under the UN rules. You have to have an option for the if a place is to be a country is to become a part of a larger group like the United States, a state of the United States, the people are supposed to be given the option to become independent or become a state. So the U.S. said either you can be a completely subjugated slave colony as a territory, or you can be a slightly less subjugated state, right? So it's basically like, right, it's like a U.S. election. Coke or Pepsi, racist plutocrat for Democrat Republicans, right? This is the non-democracy. Anyway, but long story short, so people who think that Hawaiians love it so much, and since that time we're the most incarcerated, we have the lowest healthy life expectancy of all ethnic groups, and the reason why they have to keep mass incarcerating us and shutting us up is because they have nowhere in the U.S. is really legitimate. Let's be real. Like they keep claiming these other big countries are stealing other people's land and doing genocide. But the U.S. is just a giant genocide factory, and it has no legitimate claim. But it has very, very thin claim in Hawaii, and that's why they have to keep shutting us up. Anyways, that's my breath.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. One thing I don't know if I'm I'm a socialist, communist, you know what I mean? Whatever you want to say. And the one thing I keep trying to tell my comrades is like, whether or not you agree with the fact that these two countries are a thing or not, and their title is still really shaky legally. You know what I mean? Like on the world stage, like it's that if you want, I don't know. This is my kind of soapbox little thing, but if you want socialism or any kind of change of government, it's not going to come through, you know, colonial actions. They've already figured out how to do that, and that's why they attack us in the courts constantly. That's why ICWA's happening. That's why Canada's moving towards making a lot of Indigenous reserves basically fourth level municipalities. They want to end it. They want to be able to say we ended it. You know what I mean? But currently, it's still happening. And they tell all the white people in this country and the settlers as well that oh, it's over already. Wow, it's still happening. And that's the biggest lie. And that's my soapbox of if you're a comrade, you need to get behind us, not try and lead us. That's the point. Is we've been fighting this fight since day one. You're just coming into this, my friends, and you need to get it, get behind us.
I have a weird little thing about
Yeah.
speaking about talking about socialist, communist allies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I think as Indigenous people, it doesn't serve us to use those terms.
Right.
As far as it's oh, I consider myself a socialist, communist, whatever. Just we've been seeing white colonials fight over the designations of communists and socialists since their inception. And they've been having these same fights for a long time. Literally, all we're trying to do is live to our Indigenous ancestors' beliefs.
Yeah.
That I don't think us using the terminology of colonizer systems really helps us in the long run. Because what it does is when we say communist socialist, they start thinking in European terms, and that's not what we're after. We're not looking to create some Sweden. It's no, we're making our own, what our ancestors believed in. It's there's a saying in my nation. It's oh, life is not fair. It's well, fucking make it fair. That's just it. It's oh, these people aren't taken care of. It's well, fucking take care of them. It's us using that terminology just brings a preconceived notion and a fight that they've been already having as a bunch of pseudo intellectual douchebags for 100 years, working on 200 years, just over the terminology, and it's as Indigenous people, we want to take care of our community. We want to take care of our allies. It's we have enough. The world is enough for everyone.
Right.
We don't have to fight over this shit. And because of the selfishness of the colonial systems, we're forced into that. And when we use their terminology, it undermines everything that we're fighting for. So that's why I don't like to use those terminologies when I think about this. It's like
I will say that it gives them weapons to dismiss us.
yeah.
You look at
Oh,
communism, especially in the U.S., where there was the war on communism from the Soviet Union, Vietnam, now China, Cuba, right? They've turned that as a weapon to as propaganda of being, oh, look at those evil communists, and the
Mm-hmm.
moment you associate with that, they can dismiss you and say, don't listen to them, they're just a communist.
Yeah.
I,
And
I, I like to say, literally every time someone tries to tell me that Cuba is a communist country, I go, fuck you. Tell them to go fuck themselves. Cuba, first and foremost, is an indigenous country, ran and operated in sovereignty, an indigenous country. No, it's like these fucking ass clowns on Twitter. Oh, south of the U.S. border is not indigenous. Go fuck off. We all are indigenous on Turtle Island here, whether it's south, central, or north. All of us, all the way down that fucking whole entire fucking continent, from top to bottom, from right to left, doesn't fucking matter.
see, I
We're
have the
all
benefit of
indigenous.
being both. On my
Yeah.
mom's side of the family, we're Ganyakahaga, we're Mohawk. And on my dad's side of the family, we're actually Mexican indigenous. Our family is from Casa Grandes in Chihuahua, state of Chihuahua. Our family, my great grandfathers, my grandfathers, all those people, you look at them, they are super indigenous looking. And like, if you were just take their photos and compare them to anybody else's, indigenous grandparents on Turtle Island, you're just like, those aren't Europeans.
Right?
Who
You know,
was talking about this earlier of our ancestors, they traded all across this continent. They traded north and south, right? Like everywhere. There was none of this blue blood marrying thing. It was you married people from other groups. Like that's
Yep.
how our ancestors rolled. That right?
You
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
even, literally, you didn't even fucking marry within your own tribe. You found a different tribe
yeah,
and you
like
married in from like when we would have our fucking trade routes and trading amongst each other all over Turtle Island, north, south, central, into the Pacific Islands, New Zealand, Australia, even into some parts of Asia and in Africa and the Caribbeans. We all fucking traded with each other before European even discovered that the world wasn't even round. They thought it
yeah.
was fucking still flat.
So like you said, our system is a matrilineal. So you are
Mm-hmm.
what your mother was. So
Yep.
you don't marry into your clan system. So it's like an entire
Mm-hmm.
sort of your clan is your entire extended family, and that's essentially
Yep.
the DNA pool you don't dip your foot into because that's where you're from. But yeah, that system too allowed us to take in people who were not technically within our nation states.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because our system of government was, to use a colonial term, which I hate to do, is like more of a sort of democratic system. The Great Law, that one provided for three different methods to join our nation, and one of them was marrying in, having children with a member. So it's just like it didn't matter where that person was from if they were accepted into the nation and they, you know, went
They
through
were a
this.
part of that nation.
And then
Yeah,
the children had all the rights of the mother. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, for sure. I'm sorry, cousins. I just meant like I often like perceive that for like our, the European people because it just makes a little bit more sense. And I do exactly what you said. Like I have to fight off those little things, and I have my own little script about like, okay, so it's like that, but it was based off like Karl Marx basically based that off of like sort of, you know, actual way
A
of
third
being
hand
and
copy.
us,
It was a
and
third. It
yeah,
like
was a
yeah,
yeah,
Marx,
it's like
Engels, Kropotkin. All of them based communism, anarchism, and socialism from European point of view, literally off of a third hand copy of an indigenous person or someone who is a fandom or fan whatever
Superfan.
who yeah
He was an indigenous
of
LARPer.
indigenous people.
A
Yeah,
simp they call them today.
a simp, yeah,
Yeah.
they call it, yeah.
Yeah.
And literally, it's a third-hand copy, and it's not anything that an actual indigenous person ever said. But
All
Yeah.
the legitimacy of a gas station dream catcher.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, everything's stolen.
For sure.
Including the ideology and the Constitution, you know.
Yeah,
you know
no,
how many
They
fucking,
stole
you know
that
how
from
many-
us.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
good stuff.
literally, before I started explaining to all these white leftists on Twitch here about the factor that their whole entire philosophy of colonial, like communism, anarchism, and socialism all came from us indigenous people, and it all was rolled into one person. It wasn't separate groups. It was literally it was all one way of life. You know how many fucking different fucking leftist places I can't go into anymore because of that?
Oh yeah, me too.
You know,
I've been
They-
banned from many a Twitch channel.
They get just as butthurt as the blatant bigots.
Mhm.
And then sometimes they take it worse because it's just like, oh, I'm trying to do good. It's like, well, you're still part of the problem,
Yeah,
Mhm.
no,
and
totally.
you're letting your misunderstanding, your guilt, your bad feelings, essentially keep you from learning.
Mhm.
yeah.
That's what I try to do. Like on my channel, when I'm streaming, I try to help people to understand that are not indigenous and as well as indigenous. That you don't, it's not about communism, anarchism, or socialism. It's about the path of a true human being. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
have,
oh yeah. Sorry, no, I was just gonna say, like, I hate it when like Joe Rogan and all those like white people always talk about like human nature, and it's like you don't know nothing about human nature. Like your culture has twisted human nature to this disgusting level where we're at right now. That it's like not human nature, that's like inhuman. Like the society creates sociopaths, and like that's who make it to the top. And like to say that that's any
are we
kind of
frozen?
like
I would say,
uh yeah, any kind of like human nature is just like absolutely false. Like that's cope, my friends, for your own bad behavior.
yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry. Anyways, that's my
whatever, for whatever reason, my fucking internet decided to loop there for a moment.
okay. But yeah, sorry. I was just
Yeah, no,
ranting.
it's like it's literally that's our indigenous way of life. It doesn't matter what tribe or nation you're from. That's our indigenous way of life. To walk the path of a true human being. You don't have to be all that other shit. You can become a relative with us as a human being. Simple.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, how many of our nations refer to ourselves, like our names for our own people, as the human beings?
Mhm.
It's like
All of them.
in
All of them.
in my language, it's ungehue, the
Mm.
real people, human beings.
Yeah.
You know,
And wherever you're from, it's like the people meaning humans, and then the area which the group of you are in mostly. Like, so if it's like from the mountains or the shale, or you know what I mean, it
Yeah.
literally is literally just that. People of wherever.
Yeah.
Well, and even going to
Yeah.
look, you talk about um, the ideologies of that these are based in, and you look at the Pacific Northwest with the potlatch, right? Of sharing sharing the wealth, and how that was outlawed and banned, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah. And like our gifting ceremonies like on the prairies and stuff, like that was the main yeah, right? Like taking out that is like it's so annoying that that white settlers just have no idea of that. You know what I mean? All they know is like all the lies they've been telling themselves about like corrupt politicians in our like ban systems that they imposed. And it's like, my goodness, man, that's how they do it all around the world. Do you not see it already yet? You know?
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I've literally sat there and it's like it doesn't matter whether it's anarchists, Marxist, Leninists, communists, socialists. If they're white, they always end up having an issue with me.
As a, speaking of corruption, it's like so our great law of the Iroquois Haudenosaunee has a provision for dealing with corruption in it.
Yeah,
And I don't know, have you guys heard of the black wampum?
yeah.
I
Yeah,
haven't. I would love to.
oh, it's one of my favorites. I'll give you the Cliff Note version.
Cool. Thank you.
Essentially, so our system of government it's very much, the United States government is like a ripoff of ours. So we have our different levels of
Cheers.
government, your tiers. So you have your high council, your chiefs, and then you have like kind of like your elected body of chiefs. And then in our culture, we actually have the clan mothers, which is a third branch, all of its own. It's the women. They're the ones that choose peacetime chiefs, and they have a very large say in how things will run in our nation states. One of the big things that they were involved with was like because they were raising the children, they would see who was fit to be a leader, and they had a lot of say in who would become chief as they got older.
Didn't
One
you?
of one of the most important things they had is they could determine if a person was not acting in the best interest. They could essentially give them a three strikes and you're out sort of situation. And
And didn't you also have like war chiefs that were like separate from the council
yes,
of chiefs,
yes,
and that literally pervade the warnings of the women, not like suggestions of the women, but literally the warnings of the women, the clan
yeah,
mothers,
yeah. So
to the chiefs. And
yeah.
if a chief was to commit an erroneous act, the clan mothers would talk with the war chief, and the war chief would deal with it.
Mm-hmm. And so what it was is the black wampum was your third strike. So they came to you, the women and the war chiefs would come to this leader who had been messing up, and they would give them, essentially for warnings like, hey, you're fucking up, you need to get your shit right. And
Mhm.
you got two warnings, and on the third one, they would come to you and present a black wampum belt, and no words would be exchanged. They would just hand it out to you and then let it go. And you would have to catch it before it hit the ground. And that was your vow, your sacred blood oath vow that you would do right by the people. Because if it hit the ground, they beat you to death. And that's our version of impeachment. And honestly, I kind of think maybe we should bring that back.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
I mean,
There's not
I could think of a lot of politicians that could probably use a black wampum these days.
At least
I can
like,
think of
banishment. I'm cool with banishment.
I can literally like there's a long list I know of chief and councils from the Indian Act that could definitely use that as well.
I mean, we're Haudenosaunees. We go hard. That's what we do.
True.
And that's just not within like the status tribes either. That's like Métis, non-status Inuit, all of us. Like literally, there are so many different chiefs and councils now that are like so corrupt because it's a European system that was pushed and forced upon us.
Yeah,
It's not ours.
they're going through that right now. Back in, I think I want to say it was Six Nations, where they're having one of the appointed, chief councils from colonizers. Essentially, they accepted a tract of land, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're getting their land back." It's just like, first of all, this is an illegitimate body that y'all are dealing with, so don't start
Yeah.
celebrating now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of details I don't have about that whole situation, but it's very fraught when we're dealing with these
I
appointed
always,
tribal
I
governments.
always, yeah, I always shake my head when people going like, Yeah, okay. Canada is trying to like start the process of land back, but they're giving it to all of their fucking cronies.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of us are still stuck looking at like generations maybe before our great great grandchildren will ever see land back.
Mm-hmm.
Like our veterans, whether they fought for either Canadian or US Army or our own Indigenous armies, literally are like, you Indians can't own land. It's all crown land.
Mm-hmm.
Crown land is our land. So and I think it's federal land, you guys, it's called in the States. Both
Yeah.
of those are literally indigenous land. They're not fucking government owned land. It's our land. They belong to us. This is the lie that was told too back after the first group of fucking colonizers came.
Yeah.
To all over Europe. Hey, come on over here. Look at all this free land. It's the same lie that the French told to the English when they were fucking selling fucking that chunk of land back in the day. What the English were buying was the trading rights and treaties. They weren't buying or purchasing the land. They were buying the fur trade. That was it.
But
Not our lands.
Have you read Dotem and Council Fire?
No. I'm
It's
horrible at reading. I'm
okay.
dyslexic, so I'm
Okay,
horrible at
fair enough,
reading.
fair enough. So, they in the book it's basically about like the Anishinaabe sort of like ancient like governing system, which was like Council Fire, which is basically just kind of like a big like powwow. Essentially, is kind of what it has morphed into, along with other gatherings. But essentially, like it was just it was like local like sort of like big like sort of like where all the groups from like one area come together and they decide things. So it's like a kind of like a G7 sort of thing in our whatever in our world right now. But like anyways, they talked about how the first French Jesuit came and enacted the law, like whatever law, what was it?
Doctrine of discovery.
Yeah, the doctrine of discovery. So like that was like part of their laws. Like it had to be a Jesuit priest to come and claim this for like the the god or whatever, and through God now they owned rights to the land. But like it was all this like when they talk about that, like it was literally just a council fire, and the guy came and like said some shit, and apparently like it's a really funny story the way that like they tell it in this book. But like he like you're supposed to give gifts and stuff like that, but like he didn't give a gift, and he came and he broke protocol and just like made a total ass of himself. And like all the indigenous people were just kind of like, whatever, like this fucking guy came here, he's a piece of shit, like goodbye. But like he made them like sign like a piece of paper, and I think it's you probably heard this kind of story, and they signed their names with like pictographs of their totem, which was like the clan system kind of situation, that they represented, and like that's how Canada got, you know what I mean? So like a literal giant misconception by like some piece of shit that just came and did something, and that's how they got it. You know what I mean? There was no like unilateral agreement on this. It was literally just like
it literally, I think
trickery, right?
the only chunk of land sale that could ever be like literally considered legitimate on Turtle Island would have been like the New York area with the what do they call them? That one guy, now it's Pennsylvania.
William
What the
Penn?
fuck
Or
do
no?
they call that guy? That one group of
In
fucking
the Penn colony, the Quakers.
Yeah, the Quakers. That's it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they actually had a like an honest to god legal agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And that's literally the only legal agreement of land sale on Turtle Island. Legitimately.
Like contractually legal, not just like we gave you some beads and some shiny shit.
It
Yeah.
said that the deal was done to like yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's
And-
what would
and-
happen. They would just report back to the kings like, "Oh, we secured the land," and then all of a sudden settlers came,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, and it,
And then all of a sudden, more and more
Canada
Indian
too.
wars would break out because settlers are wandering through native territory, and us natives are going, "Hey, if you want safe passage through our lands and to come through our lands, well, hey, give us one of your cows, or give us one of your sheep, or whatever you might have there, and we'll make sure you get through safely through our lands." Oh, they're trying to steal from us. Circle the wagons. Oh my God. That kind of bullshit. And literally that whole entire process, the doctrine of discovery, is one of the most racist piece of work. There's 3 on this planet that are still in existence. Doctrine of discovery, terra nullius, and manifest destiny. The doctrine of discovery was brought into existence from some pedophile European priest
Oh,
who woke up one day after raping young kids and being drunk from whatever kind of wine, woke up and said, "God came to me." It wasn't God, it was the fucking your opposite of what you fucking claim is God. That's what came to you, because that's the most racist, disgusting piece of literature, doctrine, law on this fucking planet still in existence today. Literally. Where anywhere a white person, white cis male land loaning man went, and there was no others, he owned it.
It's weird. Like I was thinking about this the other day. It's weird how much of the colonial project, especially with like these papal bulls and whatnot, just doctrine discovery, literally just feels like a repetition of Rome. If that makes any sense. It's like ever since, all they've been trying to do is recreate Rome.
Yeah. It's the same thing we look at today, right? Society today, if society didn't have the Roman Colosseum sports and fast foods, they would be out on the streets rioting right now, putting an end to this shit.
Bread and circuses.
Yep.
yeah. Oh man, right now, who do you think the Cleander is in all of this world game politics? Cleander was this is the first fall of Rome. It's a Rome thing, but like it basically the end of their empire, the start of their end. And as it goes, like, because the Caesar was like he was a young Caesar that was like totally like kind of just like pampered and like super lame, I guess. All he wanted to be a gladiator, literally. Like that was his he didn't want to be Caesar. So anyways, he gave like a bunch of powers, like Caesar powers, to his second-hand man in this, like in the Senate.
Didn't he also have a horse?
Something,
it was just like some crazy shit.
Yeah. So like he gave his like some powers to this guy, and he just like went wild and super corrupt, and like stacked the Senate with his own people and stuff. But anyways, what popped it off was that this guy actually was stealing grain for his own wealth, so that then he could sell it from the all of the shipments that were coming in from Egypt and everywhere else into the imperial core. And what what happened though was because he wanted to like create like a catastrophe or whatever. So essentially he like starved Rome of grain, and people were dying and like rioting and stuff like that. And he and eventually like plagues happened. So like they actually like, and then they found out that he was doing this, that he was stealing all of this like grain, and like his plan was to like swoop in at the last minute, save the people, and then like take out Caesar. But they found it out, and they ended up like killing him. And then then it was the start of the end, because like that's where like he started just pumping all of the like just making big games and stuff like that. Like he spent a lot of money on that, and then he also waged war because like people love wars, you know what I mean? That was their thing. Well, you know, be really cool because we're spreading the empire, right? And people in Rome will be for that. But that's kind of what happened, was like he wasn't paying attention to what was happening in the Germanic area of like Europe, and they ended up like obviously like rolling and like steamrolling Rome after that, and like they, you know, left the British out on their own and all that jazz. But I always right now, and that's a long story of ridiculous Roman history, but
It's come into play in society that we're dealing with today.
Yeah,
no, exactly. Like that's
we're
why
living a legacy. Is that that's what it is.
Well, I like try to read it just so I can understand what is in these heads, because they've specifically said like the United States government, they are like the whatever, like genealogically or like whatever, like they are the Empire of Rome. They are the like continuation of that civilization, right?
It's evident in our Capitol buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
The eagle, the way it is around the federal government, and the I can't get the term right. Iconography.
Iconography.
Yeah.
Thank you. Look at it, and it's very similar to the Roman Empire, right?
Oh yeah,
even
and
the statues,
exactly the same way. Like that's kind of like the thing is like, so who's the Cleander here? Who wants to try and swoop in and like save the world, right? I think it's Bill Gates. That's my.
Well, Elon is saving Twitter. He's doing a really good job.
Did buy a shit ton of fucking lands.
That's what I mean. Yeah. I mean, it's like, honestly, it's probably like a lot. It's the ruling class. Like they want to try. They're, you know what I mean. They're getting in that situation.
Well, I mean, like, you know,
right now.
Well, the ruling, so-called ruling class, because they're not really rulers. But the ones that have their fucking hands in the cookie jar of all the politicians aren't interested in all the rest of us. They don't give
in power though. We give them their power, so
right.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Like people say to me, "Oh, you know, taxes," and I go, "What does your taxes pay for?" Nothing. If you live in Canada or United States, both countries print and own their own fucking money. So all you're doing is uplifting and keeping the value of that money going with your taxes. And if you notice, the rest of us, except for the 1%, pay all of the majority of that taxes while they're getting all the tax breaks and everything else. So
goddamn parasites.
They're barely fucking paying anything in taxes.
The billionaires are the takers.
Yeah,
honestly. Let's just take that phrase right from those right-wing D-bags. Oh, they're takers. It's like, nah, y'all the takers, you damn bastards.
Oh yeah.
Right?
No, for sure.
Greedy
you wouldn't be a billionaire if you weren't a taker.
You know, I like to reference Tupac Shakur, because Tupac said it straight in one of his interviews he did. Right? Why the fuck do you need a house that has 15 fucking rooms when there's only 2 or 3 of you living in it? While you got fucking a shit ton of fucking people fucking homeless.
Yep. I saw a meme a while back that I absolutely loved, and you can use whatever dollar amount you like, but the moment you hit a certain dollar amount, 100 million, you get a certificate that says, "Yay, I won capitalism," and then you are taxed at 100% for the rest of your life. You get no more, and all of it goes back to everyone else. I like that personally.
Yeah. Congrats.
Yep.
We'll have a nice little party, you know, you can wear a hat.
Yep.
Plaque on your wall.
Plaque on your wall. You can frame some piece of paper. Say, "Yep, I won capitalism." There you go. You've done what you need to do.
You know,
but
I think
go back to everyone else now.
I think it was, what was it? I think it was in the 1940s, where it was like literally, I think it was like over 90% tax rate for everyone, including the rich.
Yep. The is it marginal tax rate in the United States? It's like 94%, something like that.
Yeah, it's almost 100.
Well, but hey, trickle down economics, right?
Yay, Ronald Reagan and the Republicans.
Yep.
I just don't know how anyone ever thought that was like
A good thing?
Like, yeah, like trickle down. Like it even has bad connotations there. So like, what
Hey,
the hell?
they're pissing on you.
Golden
Enjoy
shower
it.
economics,
Yeah, right.
You know, none of the rising tide lifts all boats. It's like, nah, we're pissing on you. You know, just call it rain.
Yeah.
See, and like even Trump admitted it when they were when Hillary and them were all trying to get him to bring up his fucking tax report, right? He's like, I'm only doing things because you let it be in law of this loopholes. If you didn't let the law have these loopholes, I wouldn't be able to get away with walking away with the majority of my income.
And you know, that's why so many of them are mad at him. Is like essentially he just gave away the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like he was willing to say what they're all doing out loud.
And don't get me wrong, y'all. I can't stand Trump for the life of me.
Oh,
I
he's a
think
wannabe
I think
fascist.
yeah, I think he's a
That's
waste
the
of human
truth,
skin.
right? Yeah.
But you know, the man did have his moments where he actually spoke some real truth.
Well, you know, that's the thing about fascists is like they do speak kernels and nuggets of truth because they need that little bit to grab you as the
Yeah.
audience by your balls and say, hey, all these things you're noticing about society, it's true.
Yeah.
We are corrupt. We are super, super corrupt, and they are super corrupt, and they are abusing you. And you know who can fix it? Me, because I'm fucking strong. I'm gonna take all these people, all these others that are abusing you, the little person that I care about so much, because I'm a strong, compassionate leader, and these others are exploiting you. And that's how the whole process works. It's that nugget of truth they grab you with, and then they're just like, oh yeah, those brown folks over there, they're the one who are keeping you down. Go fucking kill them.
Yeah.
That's
It's
how
the
it all
same
works.
thing. It's the same thing with like all the conspiracy theory stuff and everything. There's always a kernel of truth in it. That's what gets people into the conspiracy theory stuff, right? There's always kernels of truth.
I only currently support one conspiracy theory, and that is that all Gary Farmer movies are a multiverse. I made that one up. You can share it.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Apparently, he made a movie for Disney that was like about space Indians way back in the day, but they never released it.
Space.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the start of the multiverse. The Gary Farmer verse.
Yeah.
I think like I have to be honest, when I first seen that Trump was running for president in the US and I was listening to some of his rhetoric, I actually thought Trump might not be the best president, but he's definitely the president that the US needs right now. Because of the simple factor that it woke up a lot of people.
Yeah, interest. Yeah.
I mean, like,
that's a.
Yeah, because like
Wish
you know,
it wasn't so, but yeah.
I've never voted like
way.
you should go, you should go vote. Wait, number one, Hawaii is not part of the United States, so it doesn't really matter. But number two, but it's something like it's something like because if like let's say you're talking about like fascism and everybody else, right? It's like if the U.S. the West generally speaking, Euro descendants are. I call them some in Neofeud too. I have space Romans. They're literally called the unhealed descendants of the Roman trauma. Speaking of Rome, and then the Star Spangled Romans are the Eutropians. They're basically the descendants of America. But they all like there's some flavor of like everybody is like massively confused by design, and so they go along with all of these somewhere between liberal, conservative, fascist, this spectrum, right? And then when the liberals who just lie to you all the time get too deep into shit because they're exploiting you too hard, then they bring out the fascists to, kind of wipe everybody out. Especially the communists that are actually fighting against these systems. Usually they're not white people doing that actually historically, and then they kind of restore. But when the liberals, they get very upset. Like I don't know. I guess I've never said like Trump is the greatest thing ever. Everybody should vote for Trump. But it is like Lost was saying. It's like my own family. I remember my dad, because my dad is like, he's Hawaiian. He's Asian Pacific Islander. He's more Hawaiian, like even by blood quantum standards. But he's like culture, his family, right? But we've been like genocided by the mass mass training, indoctrination, or brain poisoning. I think Voltaire called it illusory Western historiography, that counts as education in the public-private charter. And my dad went to Catholic school, so even worse, right? So Catholic school and advanced university degree, you got brain damage, ultra brain damage from that. And my dad thinks he's a white Catholic man, right? And so he's like, son, you have to vote Democrat, liberal because of X and Y and Z. And, Russia is going to put a Trump in power, and then Russia and Putin is going to nuke America, and then China's going to clean up the rest of it. And I'm like, Dad, what are you talking about? Like, Trump's going to win because America's falling apart. And my dad's like, boom, he's older. He doesn't like get like where a lot of people are, like even the white people in the United States that are not doing that good. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not like saying like, I remember having this like very heated debates with them or discussions with them. I'm like, Dad, you don't even know who you are, because you have a master's degree in English. You sent me to a $20,000 a year private school, but it's like an Emperor Palpatine training facility. It's just like this school is full of diseducated people that all go to Ivy League schools, get more diseducated, and try to start nuclear war in the Eastern Europe right now, right? And they're screwing all their own people over. And that's anyway. So I'm like, Dad, we can't. But he just couldn't hear it. And I remember being like, yeah. And I was kind of like, well, I guess we're gonna have Mr. Orange Man, and that's gonna scare the shit out of everybody in America. And I'm like, this materially, I mean, it's actually, when you look at it, Trump screwed up coups, and his SEAL Team 6 got fished out of the water by the Venezuelan Socialist Fishermen Association. He tried to coup Bolivia, screwed that up. He let the game go. He said, we're gonna take the oil in Iran, right? And it's like, you're screwing the U.S. empire's game. He actually the military did like an assessment, I remember, and it was like Trump as like they projected that the U.S. would be overtaken by China in 2035, and they said after Trump, he actually like accelerated the decline of the Star-Spangled Roman Empire, the U.S., by 7 years. And so it's kind of like, and a lot of people, like, I predict that Black Lives Matter, right? The 30 million plus people that were out for George Floyd, a lot of people that are out for Indigenous people would not have been out there. I mean, the Black and Indigenous people, a lot, we got to fight, or we're not gonna be around, right? But there are a lot of other people that were like, holy crap, we got to be out there for this, right? And I think that there would not be nearly as many of millions of people out in the streets and just like getting educated, because there's a lot of not even just like there's direct actions that happen, like cities were getting shut down. I mean, people forget it was like half the United States and lots of the rest of the world were on fire because the United States was shown to be a racist, capitalist shitscape, and it was shooting people, killing them on camera, like George Floyd, etc. And like, I think that if the Democrats, like, if there was a Democrat in power, I'm not saying that wouldn't have a huge explosion, but I feel like it would have been far, 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 far tamped down. And part of that is like the lack of motion we're getting under this Democratic leadership that isn't even making good on its promises, whether that's abortion, the student debt cancellation. Anyway, so yeah, I'm kind of like, but then my own family are like, Sir Spook, you're a fascist because you're saying Trump should win, and you're denying genocide because you said it. Anyway, I'm just like, I don't know. It just makes me sad, but also it's like, I guess that's how it's got to be,
No, I just look at it as like, it woke a lot of people up. It was the wake up call and the slap in the face that a lot of people needed.
Oh yeah, it destroyed their fantasy that America is the good guy and that we're doing so awesome.
Yeah.
It was a reminder that America is it can be a really ugly place, and it has this really ugly genocidal history, and it's racist as well. It's just the the preconceived notion that, it's like, oh, after electing Obama, it's like, oh, America, we're doing so good. We had our first black president. It's just like, cool. But then you literally got like an orange Hitler type right after that as like a
Mhm.
racist reaction to letting a black man sit behind the chair. And, and it's just, I mean, let's just face it, the president's just a rubber stamper anyway. They don't
Yeah.
really have that much power. And it's just like they're just there to say, yeah, that's cool, or no, veto. That's
Mhm.
that's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
But it did wake up a lot of the complacency with voters as well, right? You had a lot of people that were either just giving up, didn't bother to vote, didn't feel like they were being heard, and after Trump, a lot of people are coming out there, and even with the whole thing with the Supreme Court now, especially with women's rights, um, this is waking people up, saying we got to push back, otherwise our freedoms are going to be continually stripped until we're Handmaid's Tale, right? Or
Yeah,
like it's gonna keep getting worse. And if there is light at the end of this tunnel of the whole Trumpism, that is the light. Is that people are actually being woken up now.
yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with the Supreme Court and whatnot is they overplayed their hand too soon. They assumed that people have memories like goldfish in this country, which we do. They assumed, well, if we do it this far out, people will have forgotten by the time it's time to vote. And, they forget that we have a 24-hour news cycle that will just bring up conflict all the time because they live for that. And what's a bigger conflict than having, you know, women's rights taken away in this country? And it's just like, hey, it doesn't matter to us as a news outlet who's in charge
The
because we're
the
just here to make money.
the problem that I find with that though is that when it comes to women of people of color, they've already had their rights stripped
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah.
So it's like when I first heard about the Supreme Court in the US trying to strip women's rights to abortion and control their body and stuff, I'm like, hey, welcome to the club. Now you white people are seeing what we're going through and we've been going through. What our women go through. Forced sterilizations, all kinds of shit.
Yep.
Welcome to it. Welcome to the club.
They don't realize the damage that's been inflicted until it affects themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to that whole piece that we started with about it, they will push their agenda until it affects them.
Yeah.
And then again, going back to that whole individualistic piece.
It's like I sit back and I'm like, okay, so I try to explain to people, especially white leftists, I'm neither I'm neither I'm neither pro what's the word I'm looking for? Uh I'm neither pro man nor pro women. I'm pro human. I'm not a feminist. I'm not a patriarchy. I'm not a matriarchy. I'm a human. I'm pro human because we're all human. Now, in our culture, we literally had women who had their own way of life, and us men that had our own way of life, and two-spirited people that had their own way of life. And we all worked in balance with each other, in harmony with each other. No one fought the battle of the sexes. When I see today's day and age about patriarchy and matriarchy fight, I look at it as a European thing only. Because what it is you got white women want to have that same power and control that the white men have. They don't want equality. They want to be in that spot the white guy got. That's what they want. They're not interested in actually finding a balance and with each other. It's colonial mindset of the whole patriarchy and matriarchy, whole entire concept. There's no balance in that. One's got to be in control, one or the other. One's got to have all the power and control and say. And that's colonialism. We have our own indigenous way of life that is about humanity, being human. Neither one has more power or control than anyone else. We all have an equal say and all have an equal voice. Do you know what I mean? And within that, like, even when you look at like the Great Law of Peace, right? The Chiefs Council system may have been by men, also two-spirited, as well as women chiefs, right? Then you had the clan mother system. You had the war chiefs. All of it, there was no, it was all worked in balance and harmony with each other.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't a power and control thing. This was a harmony thing. Because if we didn't work in harmony, that meant our tribe to die through winter and be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, it's the same thing with, like, I get bombarded with it. Oh, you natives fought with each other all the time. No, we didn't. Literally, our women decided whether or not we went to war, and our women weren't interested in losing a hunter-gatherer.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean the end of the fucking tribe and nation in the dead middle of winter. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
So we have what? Oh, right, stickball. Stickball games where we had a lot of differences sorted out within that. Now, war did happen, but it was always the last option, the extreme last option. This is why you have like us Sioux tribes who would literally ride up to our enemy and knock them off the horse with a stick, counting coup.
Yeah.
It wasn't stab them and fucking shoot them with an arrow and kill them. It was knock them off the fucking horse.
You can
Now
thank
you
Hollywood for creating that narrative of
right?
the warring savage that will kill the men and women and scalp them and bleed them dry, right? Like Hollywood narrative of creating.
Yeah.
Well,
Yet if you look in the history books, you look at Sand Creek and Wounded Knee and many other different places, literally shows European US soldiers and Canadian soldiers and Mounties scalping, cutting off body parts of men, women, and children and elderly, using them for tobacco pouches and whatnot.
Even the ear bounties, right?
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
native
Ear
ears
bounty.
collect your
Yeah.
bounty, right?
Yeah.
yeah, you know, that whole process was brought to us by colonizers. So just like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, we want rid of these Indians and we'll pay you. You just got to bring us a piece of them. You know?
Yeah, it was one of the many different things that they tried, Teal, when they didn't want to bury our bodies anymore, as they dragged us back to the forts to get their bounties. So it was like ears, scalps, and they would have to bring them in order to collect the bounty, which was usually like, what was it, like $100 to $500, depending on whether it was a child, woman, elder, or male.
Yeah, time period, depending on the time period, it was even cheaper than that. I
Yeah.
remember seeing one of the printed ones. I think it was like $5 for a man and
I think that's
$2 for a woman and a child.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think that sounds about right.
Yeah, and this process still exists today. Like, murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls and two-spiriteds isn't just a new phenomenon. It's the
Well,
continuation.
I mean, let's look at the you know, thinking ICWA again. State child welfare systems are being paid bounties for taking Indigenous children.
Yep.
It's still happening.
Government's coughing up big cash for them stealing children.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What drives me insane about like the foster care system in Canada is that they literally pay another family the like of the amount of money it takes to like bring this child up correct, like, you know what I mean, in the world, like
Yeah.
provide for their basic needs, like because that person is in poverty, like the mom is in
So
poverty. So, like, it doesn't make,
here's the
why the fuck would you give it to somebody else? Why wouldn't you just give it to that fucking mother to get, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
how does that make sense in anyone's goddamn fucking mind? Like,
Well, and
Wasigan, here's the stats in Canada when it comes to that. Okay.
oh no, I
The
know
forest,
the stories. Yeah,
oh,
it's
okay, yeah. So if no one doesn't know, or if you're not familiar with it, the poorest province in Canada pays $10,000 per child per month in foster care. Most foster homes have anywhere from 4 to 6. And if it's a group home, like a group home kind of setting, that's even more. Now, the only crime is poverty, because 98% of the reason why an Indigenous child is removed from their home is due to poverty. If they took $5,000 per child in that home, they would save their precious taxpayer dollars that they like to claim about and uplift that whole entire family out of poverty.
but how are you going to erase a culture if you let them stay with their family?
Exactly.
Like,
Right?
that's literally it, and that's kind of like part of the discussion that white people don't want to hear, but is absolutely part of the equation. And it's like, yeah, like it sucks.
It is assimilation genocide. You know,
Yeah.
they don't want to admit it, but that's the entire point. The entire time, it's like, you know, it's pretty
Many elders and spiritual leaders of our people all say the same thing. The child welfare system is just the next generation of the residential school and boarding school programs. That's
Mhm.
all it is. It's just the next generation, 2.0
My
or
mom,
3.0.
part of that system, she was taken from my grandfather and my grandmother at a young age. Her and her my uncle, they were
Mhm.
put through in Manitoba. They were put through the foster program. They were put with white people and shifted every few years. They were
Mhm.
verbally, sexually, and physically abused. My mom tells me a story of she had one toy. It was this dolly growing up, this doll, and that's the only toy she ever had. Breakfast, she would sit down with the foster parents' white kids, and they would get the brand name cereal, and my mom would eat puffed wheat, and she would be told,
Mhm.
"Those are for the good white kids." Literally, those are for the
Yeah.
good white kids. You can't have that cereal. You get this. And my mom today, if she even smells that puffed wheat, she
Yeah.
gets sick because it brings up that trauma back in her of that. And even a few years ago, she would still say, like she'd have her hair not done up or anything like that, and she'd be like, I look like an Indian girl," and I'd be like, "Mom, you are an Indian girl. Like, why are you saying that as a negative?"
Yeah.
And it took me a while of saying that to her because she didn't even realize that that was indoctrinated in her,
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
right,
that's
from
yeah.
the foster care system.
No, that sounds just like
Literally,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, literally, my own experience. I was stolen from my mother at 3 months old, put in the foster care system, and sold to white people, who literally beat me, raped me, tortured me, and abused me, and fucking neglected me like fucking crazy. I literally was stripped naked every day and locked in a fucking closet, just sitting there for hours every fucking day because I'm a dirty, filthy, rotten, savage Indian.
Yeah. And like therein lies kind of like the reason why all of these Canadians don't want anything to change, because then like damn near every fucking one of them is culpable. You know what I mean? If not
Yeah,
socially, like literally criminally. Like,
yeah.
and you know, like I don't know. I say that to their face. I don't have any white
I,
friends anymore, but like, it's just, you know, that's the truth that they don't want to hear or get into, and the fact that it's fucking happening still, and they've been living in a goddamn fantasy land, like in
yeah.
their heads. Like
Oh,
the world that they live in is fucking made up, like
mhm.
all of it. Like literally, their understanding of everything is like 100% bullshit. And like, it's really hard to tell people that, you know what I mean? Especially people you love, but it's like,
Oh shit!
God damn
I
it,
I
all
I
fucking bullshit.
I literally
Not true.
literally at the age of 13, I finally stood up and took both parents and put their fucking up against the wall and put a knife to their throats and told them if they ever touched me again, I was gonna fucking end it for them. I went to jail. I spent a year in juvie jail before they moved me to a fucking residential school that was still open in Winnipeg. Knoll Center for Youth. You know that one.
Mm-hmm.
Literally a residential school that's still in existence and running today. They just changed their fucking face on their fucking out to the public. It's still a residential school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where I had to behave in order to earn every little fucking thing. Oh, to go to go once a week on a Friday to the corner store just down a little ways away. I had to behave and do everything that I was told and be a good little Indian for them in order to earn the privilege to even get a breath of fresh air because I was locked in a locked setting. A residential school.
Mm-hmm.
These motherfuckers haven't shut down the residential school system.
Yep.
They just rebranded.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to answer one thing on the same topic because somebody was asking, Sean Meister was asking, I wonder what the situation for Hawaiians in foster care related to other people is.
Oh yeah.
You know, just so you know, though, the illegal U.S. occupation, like everything else, it's the worst or one of the worst of the so-called United States. If you are a native Hawaiian, I mean, if you've ever, I know Lossie, you've seen and played through parts of Neofeud, like that's one of my games. Specifically, the most difficult scene is the part where the cops and the U.S. Government, well, it's the government of the game, but it's robots, it's science fictional, but you literally are doing a CPS report on the same thing we are just talking about, like, oh, you don't have the fixtures are not proper, there's rust, this dangerous conditions for your little child here. Oh, it's poverty. This house that you're living in is not up to code. And so because of that, these are situations that Native Hawaiians were by far, again, like I said, we have the worst statistics. We're the most incarcerated, the lowest life expectancy, most likely to be in poverty. And the children, right? The U.S. state of Hawaii mass rips Hawaiian children away from their parents, like everyone else, Sioux and everyone else is saying. If you are a Native Hawaiian, you are 4 times more likely, approximately, it shifts, but you're many times more likely than a white person to be taken from your parents. You are more, in the children in Hawaii, it's like, this one I'm looking at, race, ethnicity, 2019, 44% for your Hawaiian, part Hawaiian, 17% for white. It's like, it's not even close. And so the Native Hawaiians are being ripped away just like the other children. And that's what the game was about, because I worked, like, I was basically doing social services, like teaching kids in the ghettos of Hawaii, in the most, literally the poorer than Camden, New Jersey, poorer than the poorest areas of the United States in terms of economic inequality. It's in Kalihi, it's in Waianae, it's all on Oahu. You know which island? Chamaista's in Hawaii, so I'm speaking directly to people in Hawaii. The most poorest parts in the terms of the wealth gap between the rich and the poor, it's worse than DC, which is the second worst. Manhattan, San Francisco, Hawaii is the absolute worst. Honolulu is the ultra worst. That's where I worked with homeless kids, like literally thousands of them living in tents. Not just homeless because daddy and mommy, or I don't know. It's like, you were, not to say that it's justified because somebody was in a war and now they have like terrible mental health and physical health and they can't work. But mom and dad working full time in Honolulu, in Pololo, in Kalihi, in Waianae, these areas. These is right where the tour buses drive right past these sometimes. And then they board it up so you can't see it. And if you're an Asian or a white or a well-to-do settler in Hawaii, you don't have to see this. But this is actually the highest homeless rates in Hawaii. Hawaiians are the most likely to be homeless, and other Pacific Islanders. And then they take the children of the housed or unhoused Hawaiians. They put them in protective services where they get tortured. Just horrible things happen to them, like Sue was talking about. It's just the same thing. And then the U.S. Mass incarceration. The Hawaii is the #1 school to prison pipeline. The most children. So the superintendent of the school, and I watched this happen in the schools that I worked in, by the way. Yeah, no, it's horribly corrupt. The superintendent literally call up the cops or the principal or some teacher will call up the cops. The cops will come down to the school, arrest the Hawaiian child or other Pacific Island child, march them straight off to an Arizona, thousands of miles from the family, right? Put them in this prison where they're mechanically separating Tyson chicken nuggets, doing slave labor, putting together circuits, doing whatever call center slave work. Far from the state of Hawaii, is not even a real fucking state, is completely complicit. The entire school system is complicit. The U.S. still punishes Hawaiians for speaking Hawaiian in school. There's February 2022. There was a child that I shared this video. There's like 5 million people saw one of these tweet threads. I'm constantly putting it up there. The schools of Hawaii, the state of Hawaii, the Democratic Party, all of the people of Hawaii. I don't know what the fuck. All these settler ass, so-called we love Hawaii so much. Nothing has happened to the teacher, the principal, the state. Anyway, and so like, you know, so, and like, I remember I was streaming this stuff because nobody in Hawaii, not nobody in Hawaii, but the white or white inside people, and some of these are in my own family because they've been colonized, they've given in to their white masters. Doesn't matter what their blood quantum is, they have like given in, and they don't want to hear that shit. But I was just streaming this. I remember the Sioux came in. I was like, holy shit, that stuff that happens in your game, Neofeud. That's like this is the kind of stuff, and the stuff you're talking about, that's the kind of stuff that happens in Canada, so-called Canada, Canada's in the United States. And I was like, I mean, I know it happens because I was working. And me and Holly were fucking homeless because that's how much they pay teachers and people trying to actually help the impoverished, non-white, indigenous people. Is we were literally, I was working full time, living like next to the meth lab above a fucking highway because it's $2,000 for a 1-bedroom. That's more now, right? So we were like fucking. I was walking to work because my car broke. I was walking to work with these kids, right? Meanwhile, all these real estate agents, all of these fucking sellout military and police of Hawaii, and all these fucking people working in the hotels. I mean, white, Asian, or Hawaiian, doesn't fucking matter. My own family are all like working for the fucking military, making $300,000, getting on their fucking jet, shooting people in Afghanistan. The Hawaiians mass arresting their own Hawaiians is the most disgusting. Hawaiian cops arresting their own kids fucking pisses me off. And you know who you are. But it doesn't matter. You're white, Asian, black. It doesn't fucking. Somebody said there's a Confederate flags. You know, you have the far right. But long story short, and I was like, you know, and I was like, why are we? Anyway, so we were like, it was so fucking frustrating. But I had to tell the story. That's why I made the game, because I'm like, nobody else is gonna tell this story. Like nobody. Like, I mean, well, we indigenous people, the marginalized people, like we all know this, right? We all know this shit. And then when you try to tell somebody who is white or whatever, sold out to the U.S. and the Western capitalist empire, they don't want to hear it. But I'm like, you will hear it. You know, you will hear it. And that's why I'm like, it's a cyberpunk. It's fun. You know, it's like Keanu Reeves and robot arms and shit. And then it's like, you know, within the first hour and a half, then it's like, no, this is who you are. You know, you want to be an American. This is who you are. And anyways,
No, you got it right. You got it right, Silver Smooth. You got it right. And it's the same thing, whether it doesn't matter where it is, whether it's Turtle Island, Hawaiian Islands, Pacific Islands, New Zealand, Australia, we have all endured this and still are enduring this. Now, New Zealand is doing a little better, but that's because the bar is so fucking low that them acknowledging Maori and having the haka and that in the everyday society life is like the bare minimum. But it's just such a low fucking bar that it looks like, oh look, tremendously great. Because we're all used to being fucking like ostracized or exterminated.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that like settler societies and stuff. So like I live in Winnipeg, right? And it's like we have the highest indigenous population in all of Canada in like an urban center. And you know, it is very visibly indigenous in some parts, you know, and like I live in Osborne, so like I'm like a tall indigenous man, and every white person is just fucking terrified of me here because like it doesn't matter what I'm wearing, they're like all terrified of me because like you know, like literally this is still a white space, you know what I mean? Like it's still like part of the
Osborne Village. Yep.
You say what, the hipsters in Osborne Village are scared of you? Come on.
yeah,
So
Well, like it's actually it's kind of like super gentrified now. So there's a bunch of like old people that live here, as well as like and just like the hipsters that like because they're like my age, they're like 30, like 25 to 35, and they're all just extremely racist, and they all just believe that like they're afraid, like they've been ingrained to fear indigenous people, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like especially in this city, you know what I mean, like they super they'll say like, you know, instead of saying indigenous or native people, they'll say poor people, or like, you know what I mean, scary, or like they like it's so transparent what they mean, but they'll never admit it.
Yeah.
But like you can, when you're that person, that like dangerous person that they see, even though like, you know, it's happened to my friends, like where I'll walk up to them and from far away, they're kind of like, oh, what the fuck is this guy, you know what I mean, walking up to
Yeah.
me. And then I get there and it's like, oh, Emery. And it's like, you can see that change in their face. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's fucked up, dude. Like, that's really fucked up.
well,
Like,
yeah,
you're
It's
proud
like
of the
I can
problem
relate
too,
to that.
man.
You talk
well,
about crime and in Winnipeg and impoverished people. Before you jumped on, I
Yeah.
lived 18 years, grew up, born, raised North End, Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
and I walking down the street, middle of the night, I've been jumped, right? A
Yeah.
lot of us
Yeah.
have in Winnipeg. I will say, not once in my entire 18 years that I lived in Winnipeg was I ever jumped by a native.
Right. Yeah.
It
No,
was
honestly.
it
it
was
was
always
always by white people.
what by a white dude, right?
Yeah.
And you look at me, I don't look native, so it's not like, oh, you look native. Of course they wouldn't jump you. No, I look like a white dude, but I still got jumped by a white dude. So, you know, there's this fear and racism that comes out of it, and people think that, oh, this native guy's walking up to me, I better hold my purse or I better cross the street. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not once in Winnipeg have I ever experienced that ever. And
Yeah.
it's like for me personally, being afraid of somebody that's indigenous but it's
Yeah.
there. It's so
Oh,
is
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I remember being like 8 years old, coming out of a church for Christmas, and old native guy was walking up the street, up the block. And my adopted sister was literally yelling and screaming to lock the car doors and roll up the windows. An Indian is coming.
Yeah. She probably thought it was hilarious. And like, yeah.
No, no, she was literally freaking out and crying and scared
Oh,
shitless.
wow.
Afraid.
Holy.
They made it
Mhm.
fear.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then when I found out that I was native, I turned around and I said to her, "Hey, remember that day?" She's like, "Yeah, I remember that day." I said, "Oh, how does it make you feel to know that you had an Indian sitting right beside you in the fucking car?" Oh, you're always going out of it. You're always just blowing things out of proportion. Oh, no, you literally were scared fucking shitless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember getting beaten by her one day because I had a native girlfriend.
Wow.
And she literally beat the fuck out of me for fucking trying to have a native girlfriend. I'm like, those aren't your kind. Stick to your own kind. They are my kind. The fuck are you talking about?
Hmm.
Those are my people. The fuck? That's the kind of shit, literally.
Yeah.
And
So I have a slightly different experience just because.
mm,
So I live in Washington,
mhm.
currently in the Seattle area, but I grew up on the Covell Indian Reservation. So I grew up in a predominantly native setting. So I had that sort of protection of growing up in a community that was very much like, well, not necessarily my own, was I was accepted, and I had, you usually have the typical, kids being assholes to each other situations, but like I didn't grow up having to fear like a Starlight tour
Yeah.
where I was at. But living in Seattle like I do, I'm a 6'5", 377-pound dude, a giant brown man. And in Seattle, that is terrifying to a lot of white folks.
Mhm.
And there have been more than a few situations where, if it weren't for the fact that I'm such just a calm and peaceful person,
Yeah.
uh, I'm not. But you know, shit could have gone really bad
It's like,
multiple times.
so
Yeah.
both Darren and Wissagan both grew up, or well, currently Wissagan lives where both me and Darren grew up in. I used to walk the streets of Winnipeg's back alleys in the middle of fucking night without getting into any fights. And I'm a light skinned native too. Like
Yeah.
most of my fights, like I was kicked out of every single school in Winnipeg, and it was always because some white kid needed to fight me.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's totally it. It's the scariest thing to walk by in Winnipeg is literally like between the times about 11 and 2 in the morning, like near a bar. If there's a bunch of white dudes, like I will walk
Mhm.
across the other street,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
on the other
Well,
side, because one of those motherfuckers is looking to fight a native person. Like it's
yeah.
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
In Seattle, it's like I've never had problems with any of the minority communities here. Never had problems with like black folks, Asian folks, anybody around here. It's always been like a group of white dudes, just like you said, out around bars. Usually
Yeah.
it's like they get some alcohol in them and they get all stupid and howly.
That's why I don't go to bars.
Yeah,
Because there are too many fucking white people out there who think they're big and tough and want to come try the Indian.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I don't need the jail time. Go fuck yourself.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen too, right? It's
Yeah.
not going to be the guy, the drunk guy, the drunk white guy that instigated it.
No.
Nope, the cops are going to show up and they're going to see a native guy there and they're like, "Oh, that's who it is."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the worst is like that's it, because like the white dude will be like, like, oh well, he attacked me, and that's it. End of story. Okay,
And
cool,
then
cool,
his
cool.
white friends will
Mark
back his
that down.
play.
Yeah, exactly. Or like just a bunch
Yeah.
of white people that, hate natives in the crowd will back them up
Mhm.
or something. Or like didn't see the whole thing and just saw like a white person fighting a native person. Must have been the native that started it, right? And it's like I just don't know how like all of them have been in situations like this. Like it happens too often for them not to have seen this, and like it just drives me insane when like white people in Canada
Mhm.
like deny it, and you're like,
Yeah,
well,
but that's the
like
Winnipeg police
fuck
force for
you,
you,
man.
bro.
Like, well, I
That's
just
the
mean like just
Winnipeg police for you.
regular like citizens. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not talking about them. It's just like fuck you. Like, just
Yeah, right.
like don't lie to my face, and like I'm not.
Right. We
Anyway,
have we have a question from Big Teal. Big Teal is asking, is there colorism in Indigenous communities, and how do you work through those misconceptions?
oh yeah, there is. Still a lot of colorism in indigenous communities. Like I myself am like I'm really washed out in this light, but I get really brown
yeah,
in the summertime. And my sister, however, because of our lineage, we've got some on my dad's side. His mom was half Mexican, half Bulgarian, so he's light skinned, and so is she. So my sister is really light skinned, very pale, passes for you could look at her and think she might be Ukrainian. That happens to her a lot.
mm,
But me, I'm big old brown dude. I got a little bit of facial hair. My brother is a little bit shorter than me, but he's got a big full beard. And then we're both really big, really brown. And then our sister's super pale, kind of looks like a little babushka lady, you know? But
yeah,
we're biologically family, and she's gone through different shit in the community because of her light skin, whereas us being darker, people just don't give us shit mostly because we're big. And if you put your mean face on, people don't mess with you. So, you know, you just stoic it up.
yeah.
And
No one wants to mess with that guy.
Yeah.
okay, who's next to go next?
Uh, we'll go like I don't know. I guess in counterclock or clockwise.
Clockwise or whatever? Oh, you want me to go next then?
Yeah, we doing Mohawk style or
No, wait. Clockwise. Okay, yeah, so it would be Darren.
Yeah.
I it largely the community I've been engaged with is largely Métis, and you get Métis that are all walks of life and all different. Um, you get blonde hair, blue eyed Métis, right? Like, so I haven't experienced a lot of it in my Métis community, but there'll be what's the term? The more like passive aggressive where we're challenged on it because you might be blonde hair, blue eye. Like, no, you there's no way you could be native or no way you could be indigenous. What percentage are you? Because
Yeah.
I have a great grandma that is 1/15th Cherokee. I did the 32 and
Oh, yeah.
genealogy, and I have that too. So how can you say that you're a Métis and get a Métis card, right? Like, so we get that like passive aggressive. I can't remember the term for it, but we get that level of it based off of our skin color. The more white and the more non-traditional indigenous features you have, the more challenged you get. Like I said, I have a friend that is literally blonde hair, blue eye. My cousins, blood cousins, all have blue eyes, bright blue eyes, because their father is German European ancestry or whatever that, and we're still blood from the same grandfather, and my mom and my auntie are sisters, but they have that, and they get challenged on them not being Métis, right, or not being indigenous enough. So that's been my experience with it.
And Silver Spook, you're next.
Oh, so the question was about the colorism, right?
Yeah. Is there colorism in indigenous communities, and how do you work through those misconceptions?
Yeah, so like, yeah, in Hawaii it's a whole nother, there are like layers and like there are layers and layers of problems there. But there's certainly not none, like, and yeah, I'm trying to think of a good example, but yeah, if you are darker, just generally in Hawaii, and a lot of that is, Hawaii is, there's not really like a place that isn't the U.S., even though they technically have like Hawaiian homestead lands and this kind of stuff, but it's kind of like, it's definitely been overlaid with, I mean, everything is overlaid with American culture. Like I said, even my parents, they don't even identify as Hawaiian. They're like, I have some maybe Hawaiian, but they don't. There are people who are like, we are native Hawaiians, but a lot of people, like my whole family, they're just like in the white supremacy. Like literally, I have like one of my aunts, like even my own dad. He's like, he's already doing like a certain kind of colorism by kind of even just like trying to associate with more white. My mom hates herself, that's for sure, because she has more black. She has more black hair. I mean, she has textured hair. I've talked with Brick Teal. I know you've been in the All Goth PLC panels, and so like, it's like where does she get that from? Where she's like, she hates her own body. She hates her hair. She tries to straighten her hair. She thinks her body is too big, because her body doesn't do what a white woman body, she has a different body type, it's curvier. She is like still at 7 years old. She's been trying to lose weight her entire life, so there's like deep self-hatred. Like, they both like, yeah, both my parents hate themselves. They don't even know it. And then on top of that, there's a whole anti-blackness part. That's, I think that my mom, she watches a lot of like, like let's improve our, she grew up she was in the 80s, right? She was like one of the women that was going to lean in. And to lean in, you have to be like, that's just kind of the culture. She was wearing the shoulder pads, and you have to look more like a white professional or city person. And like, there's like, that's a whole weird thing in my own family. My aunts, and a lot of them that are more, there's, they one of my aunts literally had her face cut, like her eyes had her epicanthic folds like basically removed, because she has like very like Asian-ish features. She's Asian Pacific Islander. She basically like bleached her skin to make it as white as possible. She married a oligarch from Portland who literally tried to open up drilling in Alaska. He's like a billionaire Republican family. Like the son, she met him in Guam, because the Guam is the tip of America's spear to try to stop the spread of communism. What the Vietnam War was about. And he was like a military deployed soldier, like. He was in I forget his exact role, but anyways, she met him teaching in Guam. She was trying to like so teach around the world, and she met this Republican billionaire family's son. She changed everything about herself, right, to basically cut out all the Hawaiianness, cut out all the brownness out of herself, change all of her features, and now she is a multimillionaire. She like did makeup for Colin Powell. You might remember him. She was Ann Curry, CNN anchors. Like she was like at the top of the pyramid in the Western capitalist empire, and what it cost her was her entire identity. And I don't even know what that is, but there's like a lot of my family members are like that. They're like, they're like there's like I shouldn't throw too much shade at Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but there's people. He's a Republican billionaire who makes movies about how the U.S. military is awesome. And that's why him and Vin Diesel get into a lot of fights. And that's like a lot of the Samoan, Hawaiian people. And then with that comes this there's colorism elements to that, where it's like, get rid of all the features that could make you less basically escalate upon the neo-feudal ladder. Like go up to the top of that. Get rid of everything that was native about you. Get rid of anything that could be ugly, and ugly equals brown and black about you. That your hair is too curly. You got to straighten it out. My mom works at a Catholic school. Her hair looks unprofessional. She still thinks that, right? So there's like, I don't know, it's really fucked up and really screwed up. There's anti-Asianness in that, because we have, like I said, we have like Pacific Islander, Hawaiian, Asian. There's all these people that, we were talking about how like people kind of coexisted, and you would marry outside of your tribe, and people, you would have there was not like a hard line where this is this country, you are Spanish in Spain and you're Catholic. This is Britain, you're Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and then you all kill each other, right? It's like there's no hard with the Westphalian state, right? It's like there was a lot of this kind of like, well, this is who your parents are, this is who your people are, and this is who your partner is, and this is who and all that stuff just got like I said, like before the U.S. occupation, things were not perfect, but they were like kind of moving along into the future with a similar indigenous system. And then it just got really fucked up after that. And anyway, that's a long-winded story, but just to say, like, my family has like ultra white there. If you're Asian or you're brown in America, if you really want to make it, you got to be the most racist person in the white group to prove how much you are like with them, It's kind of like Andy Noah's the ultra fascist that's gonna dox everybody, because you all, and it's this really fucked up thing where they're like, yeah, a lot of my sadly, I hate to like throw them all under the bus, but some of them deserve it. They have the money. They're not even gonna be in trouble. There's like, but they're like, yeah, some of the most fucking racist people, and it's disgusting. And like that's part of why I feel like I have to go like so hard in the opposite direction to stop Hawaii from like sliding off into some kind of abyss like so many other colonies. Anyways. But long story short, there is colorism,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, see you again. You're next, Cola.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, similar story. In that, but like reversed in that, like, so I'm kind of like everything on the prairies. So like my dad's Cree, and I think like his great grandfather was like Norwegian or something. But that's unconfirmed, so like we'll go with Cree, but like from like Montreal Lake First Nation, up there near like PA, and my mom she's like, well her dad was a Ojibwe Dakota, like a Dakota Ojibwe, like that's why I'm from LP, like that's where I'm registered.
Long Plains.
Yeah, Long Plain, exactly. Yeah. So my that's like, I think you know him, right? My grandpa, don't you, Sue?
I believe so.
Yeah, Merrick. So like,
Yeah.
Angus Merrick is my great grandfather on that side, and my grandfather, his name was like, Joseph. He has like 3 different names. I figure what, like Joseph, like Merrick, but he died when my mom was young. But either way, my mom's mom, so my grandma, is Blackfoot, from the Blood Reserve, and then like, so like it's basically everything. And there's also like on the Merrick side, one of my great grandmas, I think, was Métis from like the Red River settlement. I haven't found exactly which like lineage she comes from, but so pretty much everything on the prairie. So like I am in a lot of different like spaces and there's definitely quite a bit. It's getting better, I guess. The colorism, definitely when it comes to encountering non-indigenous people, this is where a lot of the colorism comes from. Because like within our own families, because like I said, we're so mixed, and I also do have like some Afro-Indigenous cousins, like from my cousins on my one side. Like they so like it's like that's at least within our sphere that's kind of like dealt with sort of deal. But like when you interact with other people, they'll try to assign you something. So like my sister, like I said, long story short, my sister looks like blood, like people from the blood tribe, and we look like our pale skin, sort of like you know um long plains like cousins and stuff. So we're like tall and skinny and sort of like frail. Not like frail, but like we're not like we're not we're smaller
Thin.
thin people. Yeah, thin, exactly. One of those, my mom says, is like the tall, one of those tall Indians.
At least it's
Tall
not. At
skinny
least it's
ones.
not wayfish.
Yeah, so but anyways, and my sister is more like, she looks like a Blackfoot woman, so she's like fairly tall for a woman, but like really defined
Husky.
features, and like not husky though, just like her bones are like just that much more denser than ours, so she can
Yeah.
gain muscle a lot faster. And like super dark, and so like off like to the point where like we are only a year apart, and the people in her class didn't find out that I was her brother until like grade 11, like because they just didn't put two and two together somehow, because like we look so like different. But anyways, so like we definitely got like different experiences through like sort of the colonial society, right? So like she was rejected by her peers, and sort of like because we were in French immersion, because we grew up in like this small French town. Yeah, long story.
Long story.
Yeah, and yeah, so like yeah, like we were kind of ostracized there for being the indigenous like family, and also anglophone family, because like my dad's like, because he was scooped, so he was like brought into a white family, and they were like super Anglican, and owned like a convent, and like made it into like a care home. But anyways, so we're like, yeah, in the French sort of system, in schooling, and a lot of like like the French, like a lot of the kids in the French immersion um, school system are like upper middle class, especially like I lived in Brandon at that time. We had moved there, and so like literally they didn't even know. They think they didn't know. I would tell them, and they would just fucking forget all the time. But like I like visually, I kind of like look a little bit more like Asian. So they would always just assume that I was like half Asian or something like that. To the point where like there were some Asian kids in high school, and they invited me to the Asian club. Whole it was a whole inside joke, because like even this one like kid like didn't find out until like 6 months later, and I was like, yeah, and he's like, that's cool, you're Asian, you're my cousin too. And I was like, then that sparked the whole thing in me. I was like, oh my god, do you think DNA? Probably. That makes a lot of sense. But anyways, long story short, yeah, there's a lot of colorism. It's getting dealt with like in our own communities, and there's a lot of it is like imposed sort of stuff uh, from like colonists, I guess, settlers, as you can say, just trying to stop them from like defining who we are. That whole bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, there you go. Sorry.
All good. All good.
Yeah.
For myself, so there's multiple different layers in that. One, when it came to the indigenous street gangs in Winnipeg, I didn't have any problem with being a light skinned native. Even though I myself would be like, sorry, my skin's light, I know. They're like, we don't give a fuck about that. We know you're native. That's all that fucking matters, bro. Um, when it came to my traditional people, my Dakota Eagle Society, traditional peoples, ceremony people, the light skin didn't mean shit to them. They knew who I am. They knew who my family is. They knew all of that. It was like, yeah, no, you're one of us. Um, I still get some of it more so by those who still are what we would classify as the pro-government natives, because I'm not a dark-skinned native, so therefore, I'm not equivalent as they are. And I always like to remind them, hey, Chief Crazy Horse, when he lived, was a light-skinned native, and his family even states that he was so light-skinned he could pass for like an Irishman. That's just how pale and lily white his skin was, and there was no other DNA, European DNA in his bloodline whatsoever, because he was born and raised prior to first contact with Europeans in the prairies. So literally, but I do find that a lot when dealing with people who are like pro-government or brainwashed natives, if I like to say, that the colorism comes into play a lot more than it does with my own traditional people. Because we understand the pheno skin type has fuck all to do with our bloodline. It's got nothing. If that was the case, all the people, the beautiful people that you see with their cameras on right now, wouldn't have a 5 o'clock shadow or part of beginning of a beard. Do you know what I mean? Literally. None of that fucking matters, right? Now, when you get onto online fucking shit, that's a whole nother other fucking story, because you got outside agitators and fucking extreme brainwash people trying to fucking determine shit that have no business determining anything. They don't even know their fucking culture. They don't even smudge. The simplest thing within our culture, they don't even smudge. But they want to talk about our culture and who is and who isn't. That is, once again, still European colonial colonizer mindset. Separation and segregation. Keep them fighting. Who's a darker? Who's a lighter? Who's a more? Who's in between? It's the same thing that we see within the black community, right? With, oh, there's the light blacks, there's a light skinned black person. Oh, there's a dark skinned black person. Oh, there's a medium size. It's that same thought process. Yet to them, but our black relatives are one drop rule in that blood quantum. One drop of black blood means you're stuck being black. You will always be kept as a slave, or thought of as a slave, and as a black person, that's it. That's the end of it. We Indigenous people, unfortunately, have to deal with blood quantum in the other aspect. You have to be 51% or more to be classified as Native. Oh, I smudge. Not as, but I'll be honest, not half as much as I did when I first started walking the traditional road of my people some 30 plus odd years ago. Because I had a lot of whiteness that I had to remove out of me. And it's the whiteness mentality and thinking that I had to remove, that brainwashing.
How often
Because
are you smudging now? Is this
usually when I wake up and before I go to bed, or if I have a feeling like a yucky feeling. So when I get that kind of a feeling, I'll smudge.
Yeah.
And then once a month, I do like this huge, big ass smudge where my whole entire apartment is just like loaded, just smoke filled. And it's my once a month cleaning.
I can
Clean out
definitely that yucky feeling. That's when
Yeah.
I know that I'm carrying some heavy burden. I need to smudge that away. That's I definitely relate to that.
Yeah. So there's like all these different things that go on, right? So it's weird because it all depends on who you're hanging out with, right? Or who you're associating yourself with. Like I met this Lakota guy online on Twitter that I friended him, and like and I'm a Dakota and he's a Lakota, and he like it totally ignored me. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Yet you're talking all this traditional talk. Oh, wait, right. You just learned our language and lingo to use for your benefit, not actually that you give a shit about your own people. That's the difference. That's what I look at. The path of a true human being. Your blood, your phenotype, blood, skin type doesn't fucking mean shit. I got people that come into my community when I stream that, fuck, I swear to God, they look like they're fucking pasty ass Irish women. That literally, and they're native. I'm not here to judge somebody's percentage. That shit fucking has been fucked up and is fucking up our communities for the past 500 plus fucking years. This fucking in-house fucking gotta have a percentage. Fuck that shit. If you're one drop native blood, you're native. You can't wash that shit away. It don't rub off. It doesn't fucking matter. Like the way I used to tell some of my cousins is, it doesn't matter whether it's a light-skinned native or a dark-skinned native or a medium-skinned native. When they come from us, they're coming for all of us.
That's right.
It doesn't matter about the color of your skin. It matters your blood. Your blood comes from. You're native. They're coming for that to get rid of you. Doesn't matter. Period. And that's the reality of it. It's the same thing with all the rest of our POC relatives. It doesn't matter whether you're light, dark, middle, medium, whatever. It's literally, doesn't matter. Your blood they'll come to get rid of it because they want to get rid of it all. Mm-hmm. So we got to stop letting them control the narrative, right? We have to. And our elders and spiritual leaders have been saying this for generations. We have to stop letting them control the narrative. We control our own narrative. We control who they are. After 500 plus years of being on this side of Turtle Island, and having contact with us, they still don't know who the fuck we are. 500 plus fucking years. They still don't know who the fuck we are. We control who we are. We say. We make that decision, not by some arbitrary, well, you know, here's a ruler. What part of the ruler are you sitting on? Mm-hmm. No, that's a crock of shit. That's a crock of shit. And it's only meant to separate and segregate us and push us away from each other. Yeah, and
yeah.
Speaking of that, man, that's a mic drop moment. But anyways, I do. I'm sure we could go on for the next several hours. I'm sure, I guarantee that. But I do have to probably get out of here shortly. Got to get ready for Silver Spook. We're going. Yeah.
Silver Spook. Before we close up, I want to bring up something that isn't really focused on or talked about very much anymore. So we Indigenous people you always see a lot of us will talk about the American Thanksgiving or the Canadian Thanksgiving, the white colonizer mindset of Thanksgiving. We forget a lot of the times that our people had at least 4 different Thanksgiving ceremonies. We celebrated and given thanks for the harvests of different things. We celebrated many different things in our lives. So I think we should honor our ancestors in remembering the factor and pushing that fact up forward and to the front and foremost of remembering those things that our ancestors celebrated and were grateful for. And keeping our heritage alive. That's the one thing that they haven't been able to kill from us or eradicate off this planet. So we can't let that go. Right? The same process. If you are non-Indigenous and you see an Indigenous person on the street corner this Thanksgiving, please make sure you give them food. Give them something to eat. Maybe a few bucks if you can spare it. Don't give like a quarter. That's insulting.
So you owe
If
money.
you, right? If you're sitting there and you got like, 50 bucks in your pocket and you give an Indigenous person a quarter on Thanksgiving, that's insulting. Knowing how much you've gained from our genocide, that's insulting. You would literally feel insulted if someone was to do that to you. So please remember that. And yes, please do. If you see a homeless Indigenous person, if the only thing you can do is give them some food, give them something to eat that day. You should do that all the time around, all year round. But at least do that. At least do that. At least that. If you're able to and can afford to, put them in a hotel room for the night. Bring them home if you feel that you're comfortable with bringing them home. Do you know what I mean? Do something to show appreciation. Because if it wasn't for us Indigenous people, your ancestors wouldn't have survived on this side of the continent, period.
And just to continue that, let's start changing this mindset. Let's start changing this piece of what do I have and what am I hoarding and what is it about for me? Let's start going to this. Let's share what we have, what our ancestors would have done, and let's do that for our cousins and our non-Indigenous cousins that we see on the street corner as well that might be starving. And share the prosperity we have because our ancestors helped people survive here to get where we are today.
Exactly. Oh, so that means I'll be expecting you to pop by in Calgary here to bring me something for Thanksgiving to eat. Right on. Nice there, bro.
My home is always open to you if you're ever out this way.
I live in Calgary too.
Oh, you do? Oh, I didn't know that. Well,
Yeah.
we should go and get together real soon.
Yeah, because unfortunately I would be back home in Winnipeg, but the Winnipeg police want me dead. So either dead or locked up indefinitely in jail. So I'm over here where I don't have that issue.
Well, I'm glad you're staying safe.
Yeah.
I have 5 kids and 4 grandkids that I need to make sure that their grandpa and dad is around still to teach them and make sure that their heart is walking towards the Creator in a good way.
Good.
Cowtown, Calgary. I lived there for a little while. What a place. Oh my
Right?
goodness.
Yep.
So
It's interesting.
I think
I lived in Mackenzie Town and just off 14th Street there, off of the Red Mile. I forget what that's called.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, what a wild place.
Yeah, it's
All I got.
Yeah. It's an interesting city. I enjoy this city. I'm not going to complain about it. I stuck in the north. I don't know. Maybe I just like from my Winnipeg days staying in the north end. But
Yeah, that's fair. I hear it's way cooler up there. Honestly, like I lived on the south side, and it sucked. It was.
I
Especially
live
in Mackenzie
downtown.
Town, that was the worst.
I live downtown because unfortunately I can't afford to live in Calgary anywhere else except subsidized housing. And even that I can't afford. So I get the enjoyment of all of it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. The only thing that like is seared in my memory of how disgusting that city is during the
Stampede.
Calgary Stampede. Yes, I hated living there while that was happening because it just smelled like booze and piss and shit like everywhere downtown.
All the rednecks come out in full blown with their cowboy hats.
Yeah, yeah.
is
Not like
Cowboy Halloween, because
Yeah, it's
everyone is a cowboy come that, what is it, 10 days that here?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
outrageous. And like the pancakes aren't even that good. Like I just
No, they're not. They're small too. They keep getting
yeah,
smaller.
Mm.
stingy as hell.
It's like- So speaking of food, I think Spook's trying
Yeah.
to wrap it up. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
do you have an indigenous food that you're thankful for before we leave?
Ooh,
Oh yeah. There you go.
Let's
You know what?
bring it back to the Thanksgiving thing.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. So here's you know what? Actually, I had a bunch of pictures. I didn't get to show it, but it's okay. I'll show it another time. But I don't know if I want to. Can I do a screen share? I'm not that good with the Discord.
up
Is
to
that
you.
Okay.
Yeah,
You can do a screen share, or you can just post it up on the stream that I'm sure all of us are kind of watching too.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well, somebody else go first, and I'm gonna see if I can get my pick. We just did a bunch of Thanksgiving cooking like today, so but somebody else go first. Okay.
So just to throw it out there, it's like technically the majority of the traditional American Thanksgiving is indigenous food, turkey, pumpkins, and whatnot. But yeah, definitely for me, it's that pumpkin, that indigenous squash, the pumpkin, the pie. That's the one. That's the one I'm thankful for. It's so good, you know. Those three sisters, and she my favorite because we could make her the pie.
Darren.
I'm gonna go with something that's closer to my Métis side more than Indigenous, but I add my flair to it. I am very thankful for my tortilla. Uh, it's a French
Yum.
meat pie, but I do
Yum,
it with
yeah.
bison.
Ooh.
Yep. So
I want to say real quickly, Darren, quit referring to yourself as not indigenous. You're a Métis. You are indigenous.
yep, it's the same habit my mom has, where it just you get that systematic piece stuck in you that you're trying to just wash away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they decided you weren't French enough to be French, so
Yeah.
it's like, and if you ask the French, the Quebec or the Quebecois are not French enough to be French either. So
Right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, could talk about that for a while. What do you think, Silver Spook?
Is my share
What do we
thing
get
working?
into, Silver Spook?
Oh, is it sharing?
Yeah.
To us,
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you can you see that plants there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I sorry. I got this little slideshow thing. I'm trying to get the thing to. Can I change the picture?
I don't know if they can see it on the stream, but
Is it going?
there it is.
Okay.
It's starting to show you.
Okay. Anyways, so this is a quick little story, but so this is our little garden. We have our there's a lot going on here, but today we did a harvesting. Oh, by the way, it's makahiki, or the time of the harvest. Is the and we also play games like ulumaika traditionally in Hawaii. And it happens to be around the time. It's not exactly on obviously Thanksgiving, but it's a time in Hawaii of harvest and sharing luau, which is like people coming together, and it's basically like massive collective. It's not a potluck, but it's like similar, and lots of food all gets cooked all at the same time. And anyway, so this is a garden where we have the this is Okinawan sweet potato that's actually all potato, right? It's the sweet potato is a morning glory, but all of the potatoes come from part of South Turtle Island, right? And so technically that's an indigenous food that came through Hawaii, which also gives it's for our maritime Silk Road or maritime trade happened, like because this sweet potato was in Hawaii long before Columbus and Mr. Cook, etc. Anyway, so the Okinawan sweet potato is growing there, and then we're using that. I'm trying to skip past the kid. These are like kalo. Kalo is the staple food. That's what they make. The leaves of that little heart-shaped plant on the side is what they make. Well, that's a loy. Lau lau. That's like the plants wrapping around the pork and or fish. And then we didn't have a chance to make that. But I'm trying. This is obviously not Three Sisters style, but we do have tubers like vines, and then tall sugarcane and or different like the kalo are actually growing around through the sweet potatoes. This is aloe. This is actually a medicinal plant that we have there. Those are Hawaiian chili pepper. It's actually specifically a Hawaiian perennial bush. Anyways, long story short, we took all of this because I know we got limited time. I'm going to go on this forever, but I just wanted to get some pictures of. We had like basically most of this was all colonizer lawn. It's like monocrop lawn, and we've since decolonized much of that. And that's an orange tree. Those are the kalo. I was like inspired by. I was reading like obviously braiding sweetgrass, but also just listening to like cooperative like the plural crop or just like using the different plants like styles of growing where they work together. And so the sweet potato that are growing around the kalo, and it seems to be working out pretty good. Anyways, so I had the little. Oh, that's a coconut tree, obviously. That's a tea leaf that and anyway, I should skip some of those. Anyway, so we took the sweet potato leaves. What's that? You're not seeing it on the stream? Oh, okay. I'm okay. Well,
it just says your stream is still running,
oh,
and it's not slipping through it on the stream here in Discord. It's slipping through it.
oh,
So it's just probably some bullshit issue that there's nothing that we can do about it.
okay.
Apparently.
Well, it's okay. I mean, good because I might accidentally showed the little baby spook, so that's probably good. But anyways, long story short, so we made Okinawan sweet potato and Okinawan sweet potato mashed up, and then also we made which is a thing that we it's not necessarily a traditional food, but it's like a food that we were trying to make using the indigenous plants of the Pacific, and also we have Okinawan sweet potato leaf and pork, and usually we would make lala, but we just didn't have lala is the traditional. Like, you ever been to the Waikiki fake plastic luau, but it's like the leaves wrapped around the pork. We would usually make that, but just like we're trying a bunch of new stuff in our again, coming back to that kind of like we have multiple cultures that are all equally accepted and allowed to cooperate and mingle, much like the plants from different places cooperate and work together. Rather than crush and kill each other, like some people from that place on the ass end of Asia called Europe. Anyways, so that's what we eat. That's what we're eating tomorrow. We're gonna eat lots of that. And also, Holly made pumpkin crunch just for me. So special thanks to Holly.
Nice.
And lots of other stuff. So yeah.
Nice.
We all need a Holly.
We
all need a Holly in our lives. Yeah.
Bison is the most tastiest animal on the earth. That's just.
Oh, you bastard!
Mine.
You stole it. You stole it from me.
Once you taste it, it's your favorite meat.
Right?
Yeah.
Can't beat a pit roast one.
Yeah, no way.
Wow, never had that. Never had.
My dad was ceremony as well, so like we would occasionally be around when they would pit roast a bison. You're not wrong. It is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like corn. I'll say corn, and then Silver's you can. Last two you can say bison.
I'm sorry.
No. It's okay.
I'm just showing my picture real quick. You go talk, but this is the sweet mashed potato. That's the what it looks like at the end. So it's like sweet potatoes mashed up, and then it's not, but it's like a slightly different color.
God,
So
now I'm hungry.
I'm sorry, I make
Now
you
I'm
hungry.
hungry.
There. That's what we just. That is pork with the spinach, the leaves of the sweet potato, and my son said like that is the perfect amount of spice and tanginess, and he's a very picky eater. So I just want to say that we did a good job.
Congrats.
Yeah, go ahead though.
All right. So for me, it's I guess basically a 4-prong. So yes, on the top of the list, in that top, not necessarily directly in the first order on the top, but the very first I have to say is fry bread.
Yeah.
That's our sacred food. And the reason why is because when you smell fry bread and you taste it, it literally is the food that will take you out of a bad mood and bring you into a good one. So because it has become over the years, very much so. Comfort food for those of us who have been genocided on this side of the planet, on continent and so forth. Literally, fry bread is our sacred food. Secondly, is buffalo meat, of course. I really love buffalo tongue soup. Um, Thirdly, is elk meat, but I want to go with like the tenderloin of the elk specifically.
Yeah, fat straps.
Yeah, because it's like the softest meat ever.
So, Sue, I promise I'm supposed to go up for a hunt with my cousin up in Mississippi for
Yeah.
elk. And
Cool.
I
Nice.
promise you, when I come back from that hunt and we get an elk, I'll bring you some back.
Oh, if you don't and you break that promise, you
I
and me
really
are gonna
want-
have words, cousin.
I promise you, cousin, I will bring you back some elk. Yes.
And second question, does your wife know how to make fry bread yet?
My wife?
Yes.
No, I'm the one who does it.
Okay, well, you better get making, because you know,
Need a lot.
tomorrow, Cola, tomorrow.
All right, so we should probably wrap it up, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Silver Scoop, can I give a raid suggestion?
Oh yeah, we should probably raid out. Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah.
If you're, there's this person is a mod of mine, but they're also a streamer in their own right. But they're a DJ streamer, and they're actually from Sade's neck of the wood. They're over in the Squamish Nation over there by where you're from, on the tribal reservation over there.
Okay.
Sade. So yeah. So it's Whirlwind, all one word, Whirlwind, and then _ Dreamer.
Whirlwind Dreamer.
Whirlwind Dreamer, yeah.
Awesome.
WHIRL Wind and then _ Dreamer. Do you want me to type it in chat for you?
I think I got it. Let me just test it out.
Yeah, DJ. Yes, there it is. Yes,
There it
we
is.
got it.
Okay. Well,
So I'm on this new thing now where I'm getting into DJs and DJ streamers as well in the community. Because we all feel that boot on our we all feel that same boot on our necks. And it's called solidarity with all who have that boot on their necks. So being that this might be new for some of y'all, but
Oh, you still there?
Hello?
oh, you got cut off?
Is it?
Oh, weird.
Oh no, we lost him.
Oh no, got
What?
lost. Oh, there you are.
how did I get lost? I'm right here. What do you mean?
Oh, your voice just cut out. Your voice cut out.
Your audio cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, yeah. So I'm on this new DJ kick. Because DJ streamers also, a majority of them are like black and so forth. And they all feel the same boot on their neck as we do. So, it's all about solidarity. And well, there's no revolution that didn't succeed, a good one and decent one that didn't have music and dancing. So,
Indeed. Yeah. Before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to thanks so much. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'll let you guys say your final word. Oh crap! Did we just raid out?
too late. Sorry.
Oh crap! Oh man, well that's okay. That's okay.
It's all good. It was really nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, it was good to meet all you guys. Sorry, it was the last
Everybody
minute.
all bounce out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Um,
The rating thing is a new thing to me because I don't Twitch much. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize it has to raid out if you don't press the button. Usually I thought you could just wait for very long, but yeah, sorry.
oh, no worries. Looks like a cool channel though.
She is. She's like really fucking cool and big.
Hmm.
And she's, like I said, she's from over in your area. So
I'll say actually it might even be some of my brother now because he's like super like tied in with all of the Native musicians and like powwow singers and
Cool.
activists and nonprofits over here.
Hmm.
Like my brother's,
Yeah.
he knows a lot of people, and I'm always surprised. It's like, Jesus, how do you know so many people? I'm hella antisocial.
Yeah.
I love it because it's like I'm on this new kick now where I'm like hanging out in DJ streams because literally they all have the same boot on their neck as we do.
Mhm.
And like I say, right?
Oh, you know what? I just realized something I wanted to mention that didn't get a chance to on the stream is I made sure to include some Afro-Indigenous representation in our Hill Agency game.
Oh yeah. You
Nice.
how about we'll do another one sometime with just indigenous game stuff because sorry I wanted to give everybody a chance to go make sure everybody knows to go check out all of y'all's games because there's at least 3 of them here. So but we'll plan something else for that for sure. Yeah.
I remembered what indigenous food that I had just learned about recently, at least just like time period wise. Tamales from Central America, Mexico. I just found out that tamales date back about 8,000 years. And I'm just like, damn.
Wow.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. So not just pre-colonial, but super pre-colonial.
Oh wow.
That's
Mhm.
really
Right?
Yeah.
I was just,
Okay, well, I'm
Yep.
getting pretty hungry, so I should probably
Hey,
get
before
going.
you run off,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
might want to friend me here on Discord.
Oh, yeah.
Neo Dare, I'm gonna send you a friend request. So that way you can message me tomorrow and we can hook up.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
He wants that elk.
Yep. He's hungry.
You can already taste it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
a promise was made on the prairie.
Yeah.
We just have to get an elk first.
In
Well,
that good way.
Yeah, yeah.
If you can't get an elk, I'm gonna laugh. I'm sorry, I'm gonna laugh.
it's funny. My cousin just sent me a picture this week, and he's like, "Why aren't you here?" And he got, let's see here, a big old one. Here, let's see if I can.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dang.
See, the reason why I'm gonna laugh, right, is because the first time I went hunting with actually like my own people, the first day I went out, I came back with 7 elk.
Ooh.
Nice.
Wow.
That's everybody's tags filled.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I gotta go get the elk for the dinner for the lunch tomorrow. So
Okay.
we watched the gun.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. Yeah.
Thank you, Silver Spook.
Hey, thank you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah,
so much.
thanks,
Mahalo.
guys.
Yeah.
So much for coming.
Thanks for letting me jump on so late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem. Okay. See you around, guys. Oh, did I just clock out? No.